This episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast is brought to you by JList.com. At JList.com, you can get some all-new console games straight from Japan. They have some best sellers available, such as Hatsune Miku, Project Diva Mega 39s for the Switch, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet for the Nintendo Switch, Persona 5 The Royal for the PS4, and Katagawa Jet Girls for the PS4. They also have some newer series available, such as the Maitetsu Pure Station Collector's Edition for the Switch, Danmachi for the Nintendo Switch. The visual novel Flowers is also available for the Nintendo Switch. So, go over to JList.com or their safe for work mirror site, jbox.com, to pick up some new video games. Now, let's start the podcast.
You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aaapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hey guys! Welcome to episode 512 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. I am Mandi, and it's just two of us today, just me and Mason in a lonely world without bits. Hi.
Hello. I thought I was Mandi. Actually, I'm Mandi.
Oh, you're Mandi. Okay.
I'm taking the throne. It's an all Mandi cast. Or you can call me Miss Granger because I use my time turner to consume more anime and manga than humanly possible. I'm taking the throne. I'm the new Mandi.
That's how I get through so much stuff. I'm split between two people. Hi.
Exactly.
So yeah, as I said, Mitz isn't here today. It's just the two of us. I'm running the show, so expect some delays with drops because I don't have the same setup that he does, but I'm trying my best. And yeah, so today we have so much stuff coming up. Mason and I wanted to warn you that this episode may be a little bit longer than usual.
Get comfortable, people.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about, so we are aware if we're going over time. You don't have to yell at us. We're good. We got it.
People open up the length of this podcast episode and are, what the heck? What happened?
What happened?
We also don't know. We're just assuming that this is going to take a while because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff on our list. Mason and I watch fucking way too much anime, so since the last time we have done one of these free talks, we've both watched so much stuff between us, so we have a lot to talk about. But hello, we are dedicated to making your anime addiction worse, so that's what we're doing. If you would like to join us, you can go to apodcast.com/join to create an account, and you can get all of our bonus content, which is hentai episodes, hobby addicts, and after parties. We did a hobby addicts today. I talked about some video games. I talked about Hotel Dusk and Heaven's Vault, and Mason talked about wisdom teeth woes. Possible wisdom teeth woes. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Yes.
Twitch chat is already saying in before 5-hour podcast.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be that long. I don't think we're going that long.
But we did start exactly at 5 o'clock because
5 o'clock on the dot.
I am running the show today, and I'm always on time. So welcome, people who are in Twitch chat. And also for all of our social media accounts, please follow us. You can follow us on Twitch, get updates on when we are streaming. Go to Facebook, the groups /a podcast, and you can join there and find a bunch of stuff that we are doing. Also, please go follow us on Twitter as well to get all the updates on things that we have going on. Caroline, our social media person, is fantastic with keeping you updated on stuff that we are doing. And go to Discord. You can find a link to join it on our website. And yeah, join there. We have so many clubs that you can jump into and a lot of other fellow anime addicts to talk to. Let's give a quick update on what's going on in Discord clubs.
Yeah, and actually, despite what the name would suggest, Discord is a pretty harmonious place, and it's a good old time. Mm-hmm. I want to give first a shout out to Kador for finally becoming a man, not because he just had a birthday, but because he gave us two, what are they called? The pings, not the pings.
The pings? The pingus.
The pings, the boost, the server boost. So we are that much closer now, thanks to him, to getting a whole new set of emojis to react to and have a fun time with. So
Yeah.
props to
Mason and I have made a lot of emojis. You might see an overbearing
Hundreds.
amount of Hunter x Hunter ones.
Whose fault is that?
I don't know.
I won't say that.
It's
Me, Mandy, my fault.
It was obviously Crollo.
But no, we're actually on our final block of the first section of the health club, where we get a bunch of people together to do fitness related goals and stuff. And it's been a pretty good time with the weather starting to get warm. I don't know how it is by you, but it's nice and dandy by me, at least this weekend. So it's a perfect day to stay inside and podcast. But the health club's doing well. People are competing for some sort of prize. I don't know if that's going to be a real prize or just a healthier body and mind, but we are doing it. So come on board, at least for block 2, which starts up in March. We also have the anime club, where we sit down every 2 weeks and watch a show. So on February, the 26th of February, we are talking about the second half of Hanasaku Iroha, which is what we talked about in the last club. It's one of my all-time favorites by Mario Okada, who is the same person who did O Maidens and so much other good stuff. So if you have opinions, watch the show and come join us, 10 p.m. EST. We got thoughts.
Also, Chibi Rob in our chat said that if you were actually Mandy, you'd have that Iggy cell by now on your wall.
Ooh. Well, it's just because, we are just one entity that burrows under like 7 states and pops back up. We are the cat. We are the cat dog incarnate of this modern world.
Oh no, we're joined by the butts. Anyways, but also we have my manga club. You can join us on Discord. Last time we did our Shonen Showdown. Sorry, it took me a second. I was like, what did we do? Shonen Showdown. We had a pretty good turnout for that. Our next manga club will be on March 4th. We'll be reading Princess Jellyfish, which I love this anime and I like the manga. So please join us. And we are reading volumes 1 and 2. And that will be on March 4th at 10 p.m. EST. You can go to Discord and find out all of the information you need on there, such as the chapters and the voice chat channel that we use. And it's really laid back, open up to anybody. So don't feel pressure. If you want to just come and listen.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. Discord is great. Just come in. Come ask questions and we'll guide you. There's no pressure. I don't make everybody talk, so you just want to come and listen, you can do that as well. So we have tons of stuff coming up. We have our kind of monthly what have we been watching episode, where we watch so much anime outside of the reviews and current seasonals. So Mason and I are going to be talking about what we have watched since last episode, which has been a little while. We've had a few topics in there that were like our Oscars and such that pushed everything behind. So it's been a while and things are racked up. And we also have a review of Kono Oto Tomare seasons 1 and 2 coming up later in the show. So stick around. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Oh, I'm so sorry. There is one thing that I would like to mention before we begin, and I apologize if my stream just froze. I accidentally minimized Discord. But so yeah, looks good.
I'm sorry to start this off on a really sad note, but unfortunately, the podcast mascot Neil has passed away. It passed away on Saturday, and I just want to give you guys a heads up, and you should contact Mitz with all of your, just show him some love, let him know that you're thinking about him, keep him in your thoughts, and it's because it's always really hard when somebody loses a pet, so.
Give him some good mojo. Twitter, Discord, Facebook, all those places. Let him know. Yeah,
but Neil will be missed, and from what it sounded like, it sounds like he's probably in a better place now. But yeah, please let Mitz know that you are thinking about him. And then we'll go ahead and jump into big news, unless you've got something else.
No, I'm all set. Let's send it.
Oh, 大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Alrighty, so in this week's big news of the week, Ride Your Wave Film has earned $300,789 in the U.S. screening of it. Box Office Mojo has reported that Masaki Yuasa's Ride Your Wave earned almost $298,999 last Wednesday, and another $1,799 on Thursday. The film was only screened for 2 days, 2 very special days in the U.S., and in with Japanese with English subtitles. Is that wrong?
I think it was no. I think you're not wrong. I think it was just one day, but the other 2,000 count from Thursday was like either bleeding over from time zones or counting. It was just a 1-day affair.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember.
It's not like everyone went on Wednesday and it's like, screw Thursday. I got drinking to do.
True, that's right. I apologize. See, I remember this actually happened during our Shonen Showdown, so I think we are missing a lot of people because like we got to go see right away because it's only available for 1 day. So, but that is impressive for 1 day on Wednesday. The film ranked at number 9 in the box office, and the film also ranked number 9 in Japan during its opening weekend. The film has won a few awards so far, including the Best Animation Film at the Shanghai International Film Festival's Golden Goblet Awards, and also won the Satoshi Kon Award for Excellence in Animation at Montreal's Fantasia International Film Festival. So it sounds like it's a good thing. Have you seen it? I have not.
I have seen it. It is fairly pretty. It is definitely the easiest of Yuasa's works to get into. It's not way out there. It's not visually chaotic and abstract. It's definitely a good, safe film to bring newcomers into it. It's a very solid romance flick that had a waifu a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, would you say
time.
It's one of the easier Yuasa stuff to jump into? Like if you're not familiar, cool.
Even like disregarding that it's a Yuasa thing, I think anyone could come in and watch it and follow it. There's no like your mom or something could watch and like not need to know about anime culture or Japanese culture to get into it and understand the points of it. So it's a good, not saying it's a beginner baby film, but it is a nice, enjoyable romp.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into Good, Bad, and the Moe. Moving right along.
Thank you.
Howdy, partner. I seen you riding in on that dusty trail. Welcome to the good, the bad, and the moe.
For this week, for the good in Good, Bad, and the Moe, we have the live-action Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken film has been revealed for a May opening. They announced on Tuesday that not only will Eizouken be receiving a live-action movie, but will also be getting a live-action mini-series. And the mini-series will start up on April 5th and air on MBS. And both the film and the series will have the same cast and staff. And Tsutomu Hanabusa will be directing the film and series. He has previously worked on the live actions for Kakegurui, 3D Kanojo Real Girl, and the live action for Grand Blue. So that's exciting because this anime is still airing and I'm really enjoying it. I put down another note. If you are not familiar with the Sakuga blog, if you check them out on, just look them up. And it is a website that talks about Sakuga and breaks down like all the different kind of animation production notes. They did an article, I think they just released it yesterday, on Eizouken, and about how a lot of the animators in the who are on this anime are brand new, but also being promoted to new higher staffing positions, and they're learning alongside the characters in Eizouken. It's really cool. I think you should read it and check it out.
Heck yeah. For the bad this week, we have, unsurprisingly, multiple events have been canceled due to the coronavirus. Yeah. First of all, you have Osaka's Nippon Bashi Street Festa, which is what's advertised as Japan's biggest cosplay event. It would have been the 16th annual parade that goes through Denden Town, which is like Osaka's version of Akihabara, on March 15th. Usually over 200,000 people attend the event every year, so they're kind of putting a kibosh on that. I think they're going to try to do some smaller events with people who've already bought tickets, but still, disappointing for people who are excited for that. Let's see. This is the second time it's been canceled since the first was in 2011 when there was the earthquake and tsunami. Let's see. The Taipei Game Show organizers postponed the video game convention that was originally planned in early February. As some of you guys probably already saw, Asteroid in Love and A Certain Scientific Railgun Tea, both of their episode 7s got delayed, so those got pushed back a week. Square Enix announced on Wednesday that it was going to be canceling what they call Battle Train Final Fantasy VII Remake Another Story event, which sounded really dumb. But looking back at it, it essentially would have been a real-world treasure hunt, which would have had like 300 players on a 1-hour like train ride on the Yamanote, which is like the big loop in Tokyo. And they would have like gone through this mission on their smartphones, and that seemed like that would have been a ton.
Oh, that
of
does
fun.
sound really cool.
So, unfortunately, that got canceled as well. And finally, just recently, we heard that the Ghibli Museum will be closed for 3 weeks from February 25th to March 17th. It's part of like a governmental, restriction on, big events until mid-March. So, if anyone was planning on doing that, once again, bumming me out. So, I know it's all for obviously trying to corral the event, but still sad nonetheless.
Yeah.
And finally, for the Moe this week, we have a petition gets 17,000 signatures to support Love Live Sunshine's Chika as the Orange's ambassador. So essentially what happened was Chika Takumi from Love Live Sunshine was once the ambassador of Nishira Oranges, which is a specialty food item in the Numazu region where the anime is set, and she was removed as the ambassador for some weird under the surface allegations or stuff. We're not really sure why. I don't know if it was like the promotional material wasn't like in line with the anime policy or whatever, but
it's a Moe conspiracy. Mitz has jumped in there. He's like, shut it down.
That's why he's gone. He's not in Mexico. He's out in the Numazu region just petitioning. This didn't stop the sale of these oranges. All the box sets and like crafts that went with these oranges that were like special edition with this character have all sold out. So Moe is powerful, and there's now a petition, like I said, with over 17,000 signatures to try to reinstate the character as the ambassador. So if you're trying to get some oranges, keep your eye out for some specialty ones from Love Live Sunshine, I guess. And I think that mainly does it. Do you have any comments?
Nope. I don't.
God, oranges
think that's
are
good.
so good. They're no
Oranges.
clementines.
You're a big fan of oranges?
I'm a big fan of clementines, the Moe fruit of oranges. We have two types of trivia for you. First, we have our website trivia, which is, you have a week to do it. The theme is fittingly anime cats. The answer from last week was Inuyasha, and the winner from last week was Golden Jedi Link. Apologies. So if you go to our AAA podcast website, you can scroll down to the bottom and find the trivia and see if you can answer it to win fabulous prizes.
I don't know if it's updated right now. I think it's still on Inuyasha. I could be wrong, but I think Miss will probably update it when he comes back. So
if you're listening to this live on Twitch, just hold on a second. By the time this comes out, though, it'll be updated. So go over there, check it out, win a fabulous prize. But we also, in addition to that, for no prize at all except your own ego boost, we have an in-show weekly trivia question, which you have until the end of this upcoming news break to answer. And that is, Animation Studio 4C was founded in 1986 and is known for many films and anthologies. What notable property of water is distinguished at that temperature, which essentially equates to 39 degrees Fahrenheit? Think about it. Maybe I've been watching too much Dr. Stone, but see if you can figure it out. And we'll let you know after the break.
Anime Addicts, Mitsuki might not be on the show today, but he's still here with your anime news break. Starting us off with an announcement that the second season of The Quintessential Quintuplets, a very popular comedy anime that recently premiered its first season, is going to be having the second season in the fall of 2020. So there's going to be new staff members, and if you look online, you'll be able to see some teaser visuals right now for the property if you're big fans of the show. The Quintessential Quintuplets is a romantic comedy manga which has the same title, which was originally published as a one-shot in Weekly Shonen Magazine back in the beginning of 2017. And of course, the anime's first 12 episodes aired in the winter of 2019. Next up, the Pokemon Center in Ikebukuro, which I am very familiar with personally, is closing for a short period so that they can do a full renovation and revamping of what's delivered and offered at the Pokemon Center. The new Pokemon Center Mega Tokyo, as it's being dubbed, will include a Pokemon Go lab, a cafe where Pikachu will sell sweets, a Pokemon card station, and it's also going to have an area for kids to play, a specialty store, and also a fountain. Pretty cool. If you look online, you can see designs of some of the menu items from the Pikachu Cafe, as well as some of the interior architectural designs and conceptual designs from the inside of the cafe if you're curious about it. Next up, big fans of Berserk. Get your eyes open. It looks like Sega has announced that the 2-year anniversary of the DX2 Shin Megami Tensei Liberation smartphone game is going to be celebrating by having a collaboration with the Berserk TV anime property. So you're going to be able to check out some of your favorite characters from Berserk in a cross-promotion with Shin Megami Tensei. So Sega has revealed some visuals and some more information about the collaboration. If you want to check it out, look online. Sega Games and Atlas launched the Shin Megami Tensei Liberation iOS and Android game back in January of 2018. And rounding us out, what will be the first of many stories that are related to the coronavirus. It looks like the 7th episode of A Certain Scientific Railgun T, which is the 3rd season of A Certain Scientific Railgun, is not going to air as wasn't originally planned on the 21st. They state that the COVID-19 coronavirus has affected their production schedule. They didn't actually say why or how it affected the schedule, but they just stated that they are going to be having a delay. The Scientific Railgun T series premiered in Japan on January 10th. This was Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now, as we do, it's time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aaapodcast.com/join, support the podcast, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aaapodcast.com/join and support the podcast.
Hi, I'm Terry Doty. I host the podcast That Anime Show, and I am a total anime addict.
You know me? Of course!
And we are back from our break. Before we went on break, we had a question, which was, Animation Studio 4C was founded in 1986 and is known for many films and anthologies. What notable property of water is distinguished at this temperature, which is 39 degrees Fahrenheit? And the answer is, that is the temperature that water is at its most dense.
Matthew 32298 gets it right from the chat. I said there was no prize, but the prize is I'm impressed because I had to look that up myself.
This was a Mason question.
Surprise, surprise.
Mason's anime trivia is not anime trivia.
It's a fun fact about Studio 4C. You know, it's what the people want. Also, I should mention, I am not hearing any of the drops coming through on my end because
Yes.
of how this is recorded. But Mandy's like 1, 2, 3 countdown in the
You
video.
could hear
I
it,
was like,
couldn't
oh,
you?
I could hear it in my head. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what this is. Very funny.
That's funny. It's funny because it gives me a countdown for you. It's like, I'm going to start in each Nizanchi. So, yeah, up next we have my manga minute, unless you have something else to add.
No, people don't need me to go on a 5-minute rant on why water is more dense at 4C. Just believe me. Just believe me, people.
Believe it.
Believe it.
All right, go ahead and start my manga minute.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandi.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to tell you about a manga and help you find something new to read. And this one is, I've got it near me, Downfall. So, selling copies is the only thing that matters. So, what if your first series just ended and you have no idea how to start the next one? Your marriage is breaking up, you're choking, your pure love of manga has been destroyed by the cruel reality of the industry, and nothing seems to fill the sucking void inside of you. Find the secret combo for a new hit manga series and everything will be okay, right? Woo! Downfall has destroyed my voice. I apologize.
I know how you feel. I know how you feel.
I don't know what just happened there. I ate a snack before we came back, so I think I choked on something. Anyways.
Snack attack comes back.
Right. Downfall is a drama written and illustrated by Inio Asano. It is a one-shot available in English both digitally and in print. You can see here how big it is if you're watching live. I have it on Twitch. And like most Inio Asano works, this volume comes with the usual content warnings concerning sexual content. And our main character, Kaoru, is a mangaka who is currently experiencing a creative block, and he's unable to come up with a new series. And the book he was most known for has just ended, and he's seething with jealousy due to his successful wife, and begins to shut himself off from the rest of the world. And he attempts to comfort himself through prostitutes and glimpses of praise from fans online. Through this work, Inio Asano attempts to give the reader a deeper look at the struggles of a mangaka and what they face when it comes to creativity, and how being forced to conform to mainstream demands can kill off your passion. And the main character is, like most Inio Asano works, not sympathetic at all, but you can still get a feel for how hard it is to be a mangaka. The art is Inio Asano's usual realistic style with some really fantastic backgrounds. If you can handle the sexual content, including assault in there, and the kind of depressing attitude of the manga, I would say give it a shot, because it does give you a little more appreciation for what mangaka go through, like in the risk that they take when they want to give you something unique and special. And I believe you read this one as well, didn't you?
I did. So a couple thoughts I had was, one, this is the most self-insert character in the history of characters.
Mm-hmm.
This mangaka that the story follows is Asano, so much so that it is funny. Like, for example, the mangaka character got success by writing a 13-volume series called Sayonara Sunset. Asano also wrote a 13-volume series called Goodnight Poon Poon.
Yeah.
Like, that's also Sayonara Sunset, like, gets like compressed into Sayo Sun, which sounds exactly like Solanin, which is another one of his works. Like, he works for the same Shogakukan publisher and is the same age as, like, this is like looking directly at Asano's life, and you're like, yeah, I see it. I hope
it's not exactly like Inio Asano, because I think he might need some therapy.
I think he needs therapy regardless.
Yes.
But this is probably one of his easier reads to get into. Not because it's not like dark, but like it's only 8 chapters. The art is impressive as always, but it's not as like gratuitous as it can sometimes be when it's volume after volume after volume. Like, it doesn't wear down on you with like how impressive it is. Like you said, there is a little bit of nudity, and it has like some sketchier moments for like his works where things are kind of like more frantic that it captures well. So this was a quote unquote easy read that I really enjoyed. I liked it.
I would say his easiest one is Solanin to jump into. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is probably the second easiest one. A lot of his works are very depressive. Or very depressing, some of them are really dark, so warning.
Yeah, I stood up halfway through your segment. I'm like, let me show off my Poon Poon manga. But I was
You're
like,
like-
you know what? Nah, I'm gonna hold that one because the covers are just like black and white. Like there is nothing to even show cover wise, and I'm like, I'm not gonna open that up.
Yeah.
I don't want people to see
I
that.
want to show the wrong page on stream.
Exactly. God dang, it's so good though.
Yeah, it was a very interesting read. I think it might be good for a manga club, possibly. So I might add it to the list. We'll see. But ready for your waifus?
I am.
I gotta find the drop real quick. Sorry.
In the game of waifus, you either win or you are late to anime school. Cake will be thrown, ice cold tea will be served. Who will be top in the class and who will be flunked in Mason's Waifu Wars?
Sounds like it's ready.
You're ready.
I saw the big explosion of arms. I'm like, oh, it's my time to shine.
That was my cue for you to go.
I would have understood if it was the big old pout, but it's okay. We're gonna have an interesting ride on this one. So, obviously, I'm calling this the third week of the February theme of Cooking Girls. I obviously didn't have a chance to do one last week with the anime Oscars, so we're extending it one extra week. So, Cooking Girls. So, in the spirit of honoring the finest of 2019 year of anime, as well as last week when I was compiling all of the listener feedback for the anime Oscars, which once again, thank you guys for filling that out. I wanted to find obviously a nice cooking waifu for this episode. I'm like, let me find something new and something fresh. So I had heard murmurings of this show many months prior, and while I wouldn't have like seeked it out on my own, I saw it on a bunch of lists, people really liking it. So I figured, you know what, one of the characters here might fit the build. So I set out on my journey. So Domestic Nakanojo tells the timeless story of a guy who has an odd relationship with two different women, one physical and one emotional. And that's before he finds out that not only are those two sisters, but now they're his sisters. So stay with me here. So forced drama ensues. Wow. More confusing, sexy times happen. And that's not even the end of it. So I didn't enjoy the show. Big non-surprise. But what I was here for was for Rui. She has the potential to be a top-tier waifu. Not only is she pretty, but she's pretty sharp. And she's got the short hair, the antisocial leanings, this awesome power pout ability, and an overall charm that I couldn't deny. She's voiced by Maya Uchida, who did Rika from Love Shinobu and Other Delusions, as well as Norman from The Promised Neverland. And I really like the vocal delivery that she gave to Natsuo's new Emoto. But at the end of the day, we really didn't get any shots of her cooking, despite everyone saying, oh, she's going to be a great cooking waifu. And that's just not going to cut it. Like, the biggest grievance is also, besides that, is she doesn't even understand her own feelings. And that's just a black mark in my book. Guys, what are we doing here? This is what waifus are coming to. We can do better than this, people. We can do so much better. She is not a waifu. People were all up in arms. No. We need to go back to good old values. So my actual waifu for the week comes from a different clan of sisters in a single parent household, but this one is just so much more wholesome. We're going to turn the clock back 10 years to 2009, where we get 50 episodes of baseball and romance in the lovable cross game. The real waifu from this week is Ichio. She's the oldest daughter of the family. She's in college. She runs the household since she was in junior high. She kind of acts as like the surrogate mother for her sisters. She also essentially runs the Clover Cafe, which is this, literally just a cafe attached to the batting academy. She's a waitress. She's a cook. She makes delicious pasta dishes with warmth and love and no incest. Those are all very key traits. She doesn't get like main character levels of screen time, but her feelings and her purity are true. She's got such a joyous disposition. And even when she's messing around with the love interest of the show, and some people might say manipulating him, it's just done with such a playful maturity and isn't deceitful. So I can't fault her, but I fall for her. So Ichio from Cross game is the waifu of the week. Get that domestic kind of joke
So-
crap out of here.
Bamboozled, because like on the list here
Bamboozled.
on the Google Doc, you do not have Ichio on there. You have Rui.
Yeah. I'm gonna swap that later.
I was laughing, but I was
wanted
also
to get you.
laughing because in chat, Chibi Rob said Mason hates art confirmed.
Well, yeah. You're
Mason's
wrong.
not wrong.
Listen, people have been telling me for the last couple weeks, oh, you got to do a troll one. Well, I guarantee next week, we're going to review all the waifus that you guys have submitted for your cooking. So if you have a cooking waifu, submit it to me. But I guarantee next week's waifu, the hottest waifu of all time, calling it now. So get excited, people.
You wanted troll. I gave you 2 troll ones from Gintama.
You did the the Gintama ones.
I gave you 2 troll cookers from cooking people from
No, we got
Gintama, and they were
actual-
gold.
We got actual good suggestions this time, but mine, no one's going to be hotter than this waifu, so stay tuned.
Is she like literally on fire? Is this a fire person?
No, I don't think there's any.
No
I'm
fire
trying to think if
elementals.
there's like a My Hero Academia character who's on fire. It's not them.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
it's what's his name? Oh shit, my brain. Todoroki?
Don't. Yeah, yeah.
Is that his
half
name?
the time he's a waifu.
Yeah.
Half the time he's a refrigerator.
Half the time, yeah, exactly. Half the time he has cold feet. Only half the time. The other half the time he's super hot.
Maybe. We'll find out. Ignoring all that, moving on, we got the RSS feed. You already know about it. If you're a special supporter, you have now easier than ever ways of getting our bonus content to all your podcast related apps. I'm not going to go into it. You guys already know. If not, Mitz will say more next week. Who cares? Let's just move on. Main topic.
So yeah, this is our What Have We Been Watching, where Mason and I are going to just chat about all of the different kind of anime that we have seen recently. And I also have a book that I want to show off real quick. So if you're watching live, you can see that. I might put up some pictures on like a either in our Discord and maybe social media, but there's not going to be too much show and tell for this one. But I wanted to just start it off because this also relates to another thing that I'm going to be talking about later on. But yeah, the first thing that I got recently was a keyframe book by the artist Yoshihiko Umakoshi, who has worked on a ton of very well-known anime, including like Cowboy Bebop. There are loads of anime that he's worked on, but this one shows off art for all the key animation that he did in My Hero Academia, also Mushishi, and another anime that I'm going to be talking about soon called Kashurn Sins. And yeah, we talked about like in our cell conversation, in our cell topic, I talked about a little bit about key animation. But yeah, this book is just entirely art, just key frames from different anime that you worked on, and there's some really nice ones in here. If you really like My Hero Academia, there's some great pictures in here. I'm trying to find a good one that I could show off on stream.
It's crazy how he's done like stuff from My Hero, which everyone's like, oh, that's mainstream, that's popular, but he's also done Mushishi and all sorts of other works that are completely different stylistically.
Yeah, there's some
Definitely
really
not a
nice one in
one-note.
here. I was trying to find a good picture of All Might. There was one in here. I'm just trying to find it. Like, there's a lot
Oh
of...
my goodness.
Yeah, there's one that said, oh my goodness on it. There's one of Bakugo. There's, like, some really good action ones in there. And, yeah, this book really shows, like, his how much his talent varies from My Hero Academia and Mushishi. All of the pictures in here from Mushishi are very nice and clean. Like, there's some key animation there from Mushishi. But it's funny because when it gets to Kashurn Sins, which has a very different art style from the others, it's like scribbles. It's just like he just went wild with the keyframes in those. So it's fascinating to see like how much his drawings vary per series. But this book, I was very lucky. I got this one for $35, but I think on Amazon it's like $50 US. I got mine from Amazon Japan, so I don't know if you can also find it for that cheap. But yeah, it's a really cool book. It's like there's a lot of good pictures in there to flip through. I took a picture of one of my Ginkgo ones and put it as my like header on Twitter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool though.
Oh, where can people follow you on Twitter? Let's just plug that right now because it's...
You can find me on Twitter at AAA_Mandi with an I, and I talk about nerdy shit. So I'm most of the time ferrets. So
I might as well plug it now. You can now follow me on AniList, which I created that account because people have been telling me for years that Mal is bad, and I believe them because it's true. So, as a sort of backup, as a sort of secondary account, I've made a AniList. So if you're an anti-Mal boy, or if you like Mal, you can also follow me there, but MAKLAX. And you can see what I'm watching. So when I talk about stuff like this, or anything I talk about on this episode, if you're like, what did Mason say again? He mumbled way too much, and I didn't hear what the name of that was. Go to my account over there, and you can see what I've been watching and see all that good stuff.
When you make, we're not sponsored by either of these, by the way, but by AniList, when you start one there, can you port your Mal list over?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I might do that.
I ported like 800 shows or whatever, and I think only like 2 of them didn't make the conversion. And it keeps your scores and all your data and everything.
Interesting. Okay.
So it was very easy, and now I look like a loser with no friends over there because I'm a loser with no friends over here. So I figured, I'll plug it a little bit. And follow me and I'll follow you back so I can watch, because a lot of these shows that I'm about to talk about, and a lot of the ones I have planned to watch, I get from just talking with you guys on Discord and Mal, and you guys are like, hey, I really like this show. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. Let me give it a shot. What do you think? Should I go through my shows from newest to oldest or oldest to newest?
It's up to you. Do you just want to do like a round, like back and forth?
I figure we'll just ping pong, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so we'll start in the past. I watched a lot of OVAs and movies this week because I wanted to give recommendations or thoughts on shows that people, if it seemed interesting, they could immediately go and check out and get feedback on. So the oldest thing I watched was a series of 3 OVAs, the Phoenix OVAs. These came out in
Tezuka, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So these are all based on Tezuka's famous Hinotori manga series. And these are a series of Madhouse OVA adaptations. They're each about an hour long, about one of the arcs of that manga. These came out in like the late 80s. There's the story of, the first episode is about like 2 sculptors who are kind of ideologically opposed and kind of clash over their values and, what style of art is superior. Episode 2 tells the classic story of Yamato Takeru, which is a guy from a clan, goes kind of invades, gets into the inner workings of another one, and then has to choose between staying loyal to his old clan or the new clan and kind of the consequences of those actions. And episode 3 is like the space love story that spans like millennia, as there's like a mystery on board a ship that they all have to escape from. They're all pretty good. I definitely recommend these. They're very much, you watch them and you're like, that looked cool, but I'm just going to stew on those themes and how, what's the message here and what lesson do I take from it. So these were definitely all very introspective, but a lot of fun. Definitely for being the 80s, they look real sharp. So if you can find those, I'd say check it out.
Awesome. Like, how is the because Dororo recently came out, and I think a lot of people are starting to look into Tezuka because of Dororo. How does it compare to stuff like Dororo and Blackjack and all of his other ones? They are popular.
I mean, to me it seems like a much easier like jumping on point for Tezuka, because I mean, all his stuff for the most part is so long. It takes so long to get a full story.
Yeah.
So to get his styling so quickly is a nice sampling of it.
Interesting. I need to check that out. The Phoenix manga has been on my list for a long time because Tezuka is like known as the grandfather of manga. He's
kind of the big dog, yeah.
Yeah, he's the big manga person who has made so many series. He's very popular, so that's been on my list. I think that's one of his most popular works. So,
It's considered one of his best, so that's kind of what inspired me to watch it.
I also think it's in English, the manga, but I think it's only digital. I think the print one is like hundreds of dollars. So I'll check that out.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I can go next. I watched the entirety of Bungo Stray Dogs.
Yeah.
Seasons 1, 2, and 3. I had previously seen season 1 when it was airing. I watched it all the way through, and then when season 2 came out, I was like, I kind of fell off of it, and then I just never went back. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna binge like seasons 2 and 3 over a week. And so I watched the whole thing. And I just wanted to briefly touch on it, and I think it's an interesting watch. If I can definitely see how if you have no idea what what Bungo Stray Dogs is based on, they can be very confusing, because that's usually the complaint I see pop up. They're like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get this. And yeah, it's weird because it's also, this is on Crunchyroll if you want to watch it. That's where I watched it, all 3 seasons. And all of the characters in Bungo Stray Dogs are based on famous authors. And in season 1 specifically, they are all Japanese authors. So I can definitely see how if you've only seen season 1, you're like, this is so weird. All these characters are so too quirky for me. There's a reason for that. All of them are based off of authors that existed, and that very famous authors, and all of their powers are based on one of their most famous works. And a lot of them take a lot of the qualities from characters in their stories. And season 2 does introduce more Western authors, and the themes become a little bit more obvious at that point, because then you're getting Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe and
Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're getting people that you recognize. You're like, oh, now this makes sense. But if you're not familiar with those Japanese authors, it's kind of probably, I can definitely see how it goes over people's heads. But
yeah, you're like, I'm missing something, and I know what I'm missing. I just don't know why I'm missing it.
Yeah, there's some very weird, quirky characters in there, like Junichiro Tanizaki. It's very weird because he has in the anime, it seems very anime, or he has an incestual relationship with his sister, and you're kind of like, this is one of those anime tropes that I just hate. You're not wrong, but it's also Junichiro or Tanizaki always wrote these. A lot of his books were based on very taboo relationships. So once you start reading into the stuff that they made, it starts to make a little more sense. His sister in Bungo Stray Dogs is actually not based on an author; it's based on a character in one of Tanizaki's books. So things start to fill in the blanks. You start to fill in the blanks a little bit when you read into what they're based on. But Bungo Stray Dogs is if you had all of these authors, they all exist in this version of Tokyo where they're all part of a detective agency and a mafia, and they all have these special powers. Probably the one that people are probably going to recognize in the Japanese side is Osamu Dazai, because he's a very well-known author. And I think people might be a little bit more aware of him, but his power, which I actually have a lot of their books here, No Longer Human, Dazai is based on the character in No Longer Human, and so it starts to make a little more sense why he's so obsessed with suicide. If you've read No Longer Human, it makes sense, I promise. But yeah, and then you get Edogawa Danpo and Soseki Natsume. I've got a couple of their books here, but it's interesting later on when you start to see some more authors come in, because knowing them, it makes it easier to see where things are going with their characters. We had Edogawa Danpo, and then as soon as I heard the name Edgar Allan Poe show up, or pop up, I was like, those two are definitely going to clash. Because Edogawa Danpo, for those who don't know, he was a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan and a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle fan. So he, his Edogawa Danpo is based, his name is even based on Edgar Allan Poe. And he based his character Akechi, who you may have seen in Persona 5, off of Sherlock Holmes. So that I knew instantly that there's going to be a rivalry between Edgar Allan Poe and Edogawa Danpo, and I wasn't wrong. It does happen.
This show was done by Bones, and it looks
Yes.
phenomenal. I think I actually rated like season 3 as like one of the best looking shows of last year. I love the stylistic look of this. It's very similar almost to the new Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, where it's like the thick black, inconsistent like outside lines, and it just has a sharpness to it that makes all the characters pop. And I love the aesthetics of this show.
Yeah, it looks really good. I do think sometimes it gets a little silly. There's some very cheesy
It is
moments.
a silly show. It is a silly show, but it
Yeah.
looks good, and some of the encounters are cool, and especially so if you know the authors and their works, like
Yeah.
the Dostoevsky scene in season 3, where there's like a black box room.
Yes.
It's just like,
yes.
ooh, it's good because it's good, but it's even better if you have that extra little knowledge that
Yeah, for sure.
rewards that. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I enjoy the show.
I like the creativity behind it. Just how they, like you said, how they made their powers relate to different books. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a must watch, because if you're like wanting to go in there like, oh, I want to learn about all these authors, it's probably not going to happen.
It's not like Noragami. Like Noragami is a show about gods.
Mhm.
But you can go in and learn about the gods as you watch the show and get what's going on. This show is ambitious enough where it's like, no, we're gonna tell you the basics kind of, but it's not enough to really get engrossed in the characters if you don't have that knowledge. And a lot of times I found myself having to go to Wikipedia or reading message boards online about like why this character did what they did or what reference or allusion it's making, which I appreciated, but it did require me to make that extra effort. So
The weirder moments is when the characters will quote their authors, but there's one scene where the main character my brain Asushi Nakajima, I had it written down in my notes, I had to check for it, but where he's like, I know I remember one person in my past telling me this quote, but I can't remember who it was. He just quotes the author, like a quote that he made in a book.
yeah,
So it gets really cheesy sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay, I see where you're going. It's all right. I mean, there's a lot of really good action scenes. I wouldn't say it's a must watch, but I don't know if you're into
literature.
yeah, I say if you're into literature and just kind of silly, over the top action sometimes, you probably check it out. Lovecraft is the best boy, of course.
Lovecraft is good. I like him.
His power is just Cthulhu.
Bill monsters.
And he makes like
Answered everything.
he makes like a tentacle like balloon animal to try and impress a child. It was really funny to me.
Nice. I'll go next, I guess, with another late 80s OVA. This is a 2-episode series called Twilight Q. And I can summarize this in one sentence, which is, what if we made Twilight Zone, but anime? And that's literally what it is. It's a
Twilight Quadrant.
quadrant. Yeah, it's the Twilight Quadrant of the Twilight Zone. It's 2 30-minute episodes. Both are very much heavily inspired by the Twilight Zone series. I watched this mainly because Mamoru Oshii, which is a name you're going to hear a lot this episode, directed the 2nd episode of this, and I was going through a bunch of his stuff. But Twilight Q was a pretty fun time. If you like Twilight Zone, definitely check it out. Like, for example, the first plot, if it tries to tell you on it, is about a character. She's diving at the ocean. She finds a camera at the bottom of the water, and she brings it back up, and there's still some film in it. She's like, oh, this is cool. She pops it open, she gets it developed, and the resulting film is a picture of her with another man that she's never seen before. And she's like, okay, that's odd, that's strange.
What did I do last weekend?
She takes it to a camera expert, and he brings it into like the company that makes the camera, and they're like, this camera isn't even released yet. This is coming out like next summer. And they're like, well, this camera that you're holding is like 20 years old. What's going on? And it's like that kind of like, that's like the setup to it. And it's like them unraveling the video. The second one is about like a guy with like a private investigator, like, you know, kind of spying upon this like father daughter like relationship and this like weird disappearance of like airplanes in the sky, and somehow like they're all connected through some otherworldly means. It's very, very Twilighty, very spooky stuff, but it's just another one that is just like, if you've, I'm gonna say Twilight Zone one last time. That was it. If you like the show, check this out. If not, it's not like a huge thing, but it is very cool and interesting.
How long is it?
30 minutes per episode, so an hour total.
An hour total. Okay, cool. That does sound cool. I want to check that out.
Very, very unique
Is
stories.
I'm gonna assume it's nowhere legally, right?
Not where I watched it. Best of luck if you can find it.
Yeah,
my
sadly.
first couple are all going to be these weird, out of date, old school, obscure things I just want people to know about.
Yeah.
Before we get to modern stuff.
Yeah, it's really sad with a lot of those old OVAs are like 2 episodes, or like animation film festival stuff. You can't find that anywhere legally, sadly.
Yeah. And all the music was done by like Kenji Kawai, who's done, I mean, obviously Ghost in the Shell, Eden of the East, like so many, Pat Labor, like he works with Oshii on a bunch of things, and it's always a fun time. So let's keep on trucking.
That sounds cool. I want to check that out. My next one, we both watched. At least I watched season 1. Did you watch
season 1?
Did you watch season 2 at all?
I did not watch season 2. Spoilers.
Same. But the next one is Golden Kamuy. I've only seen season 1, and this one came out. It started in 2018. It's based on a manga. Juno Studio worked on it, and it's available on Crunchyroll and Funimation. But this was one that I believe Mitz did an impression on. I can't remember why it failed. I think maybe we just had too much stuff coming up, or we had too much. I think it was a very packed season, and
which is odd because this strikes me as a show that Mitz would love.
Same, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're like, why would Mitz not pass this show?
Yeah, I can't remember what the reason was. I think it was just a really packed season. But this is like another anime that is based on a historical point in history, and some of the characters are based on real people, and this is an action sort of series where it's about a man named Sugimoto who has survived the Russo-Japanese War of the Meiji era, and he was nicknamed Sugimoto the Immortal for his ability to just make it through extremely dangerous situations. But his friend from the war died, and now he is looking for a rumored treasure to help support his friend's widowed wife, because he promised his friend, I would take care of your wife, and after he passed away. But and he finds that there is a giant gold stash hidden somewhere, and all of these dangerous criminals have a map tattooed into their skin, so he has to collect all of their skin to rebuild the map and find the treasure. But and he meets an Ainu girl named Asurpa, I believe her name was, but and she has agreed to help him navigate this harsh climate in northern Hokkaido. And he learns a lot about the Ainu culture through this girl. And that's pretty much what happens in season 1. I'm not sure what happens in season 2 yet, because I haven't had a chance to watch it. But season 1's only 12 episodes, so it's a pretty fast watch. I believe season 2 is also 12 episodes. So I am going to watch it. I just haven't had a chance to yet. But yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, I thought the series started off really strong. I loved learning more about the Ainu culture, and I thought the hunt for the treasure was really interesting. Going through like about halfway to the end of season 1, it started to get really silly.
I hard agree with what you're saying. So to backstep a little bit, Juno Studio is a pretty new studio, and they're the same people who did Kokoku and the people who are doing Pet this season, which I passed. And so much of Golden Kamuy struck me the same way as Kokoku. Like, I watched the first couple episodes, and I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really digging it. They don't waste time. They set up the adventure. It seems cool. It seems smart. You're learning about this culture and their style of life, and that's super interesting. But we also have this whole treasure hunt going on, which is super engaging. Same way that Kokoku started off with this cool concept, and they were excelling. And then just the more characters we met, the more I didn't care about these characters, and I just started falling out of favor with the show. And I was like, I remember like a couple episodes in, I'm like, letting my brother know, like, hey, this is a pretty cool show, check it out. And he watches shows way quicker than I do. And he was like, yeah, I didn't really dig it. And I was like, oh no. And sure enough, as I got further along, I was like, oh no, it's kind of...
Yeah, the comedy
I
towards
wanted to like it.
the end gets really silly. And I think if it had started with that level of comedy, it'd probably been a lot easier to transition. But I think there's a part where it gets really jarring for me because it was like, hey, let's learn about Ainu culture and cooking. And then it turns into like dick lectures. It's like, hey, let's turn this into Gintama.
I mean, they actually had like a decent poop joke at the beginning. So it's not like it was always like this super serious thing. And it did do humor well at times, but I don't know, just the characters themselves seemed like they are interesting. I just wasn't interested in them. And I got to the end, I'm like, oh, I survived season 1, and I don't, maybe if you watch season 2 and highly recommend it, I'd go back, but I feel like I got it. I got the appeal of the show. I know who it's for. I'm fine sitting this one out.
I am definitely gonna watch season 2. I didn't think it was a horrible watch. It wasn't hard for me to watch it. I was just one point I was like, this is getting kind of silly. But I do like that it shows Ainu culture, and that's something that I haven't seen in any other anime. So that was interesting to me. And I do remember when it was first airing that there was this giant hubbub about a CG bear.
Wasn't bad.
It's okay.
Fine.
It's okay. I mean,
fine.
It showed up far more than I thought it was going to. It was like not just one CG bear. I thought it was gonna be one and be over. It was like a whole all bears. All bears are CG.
I thought the CG bears were fine. I didn't have any issue with them.
You're like,
maybe
CG bear rights.
Yeah, exactly. CG bears matter. I don't know. Maybe I was just like overhyping how bad it would be, but it was solid. Like nothing in the show is so gorgeous that it was like janky. Unlike the Wit Studio horses, where everything looks so good except for the horses.
Yeah, it's very obvious when
it was fine.
Wit Studio does horses. You're like, hang on a second, something's out of place here.
That's a horse with quotes all around it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't for me. I could definitely see why it's so popular among Gintama fans. I could definitely see how those two relate. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check out season 2 and continue it.
Well, I'll wait to hear your thoughts before I continue.
What you got next?
I got next another old school OVA from the late 80s, because why not? This I wanted to watch because this is the only adaptation of one of the most legendary epic mangas of all time, 5-star Monogatari or 5-star stories.
Ooh.
This is a work that's been going since the 80s that is just one of those classic aesthetics, and it's sort of a mech romance action drama fantasy sci-fi. It's one of those, just everything is in it, and this is just like a small teaser of what the series goes on to be, allegedly.
Okay.
But it essentially, follows this character who is like a mech operator who is like the incarnation of like Amaterasu, the god of light. And in this world, like to pilot a mech, it's pretty much just Darling in the Franxx, where you have your operator, but you also need like your sweetheart, the love of your life, to like co-pilot it with you and provide you the energy. But it's just a wacky thing to watch. But it is like the classic mech aesthetic from the 80s. I don't want to dig too deep into it because it really just is an hour long. It's like an hour and 5 minutes long. But it's definitely for someone who just wants a classic looking aesthetic, and it looks phenomenal. It's very engaging, and it's not one of those, oh, you have to like mechs to like this. It's just an old school romp that was fun, and if it gets you interested in the manga, check it out. I thought it was a pretty good time for not liking any of those styles, and just wanted to bring it up.
Awesome.
I've got a lot of other things to talk about, and I don't want to chew up too much time on it.
Yeah, I have some that I'm probably going to blow through, but interesting. Did you say, would you highly recommend it?
I would give it like a medium recommendation. Like if you like seeing like the origins of some early mech stuff, if you like classical pieces, if you like big ol' eyes with there's definitely some impressive moments that I thought were worth watching. So I'd give it a light recommendation if you know who you are, if that sounds up your alley.
Awesome. I might
So
check that out.
5-star stories.
We'll see. Awesome. Up next, I watched all, except for a very tiny portion, of the Hunter x Hunter 1999 version, which there was one OVA that I have not watched yet. And I watched it because a lot of, well, obviously I have an obsession that I need to feed, but the other reason is because a lot of people don't talk about it. Everyone talks about the 2011 version. I was like, this is weird. Maybe it's really bad and I really want to check it out. So I watched it, and honestly, I think both series have really, have positives over the other ones, and they both do flaws, which, after watching it, there's some parts in the 1999 version I was like, man, that was so much better than the 2011. But there were also some moments where I was like, yeah, 2011 kind of nailed that much better, because the 2011 version of Hunter x Hunter is more closer to the manga. And so in the 1999 version, the series ended in 2001. So, and it ends in a very weird place. It ends in the middle of York New. The entire York New arc.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Where does it get?
Yeah, it ended there, and I was like, that's weird. Why did it end there? It ended right. I don't want to give too any spoilers, but it ended right when Kurapika gets a very specific text message. And I was like, what? How are you going to end it there? That's so weird. But, and when I was looking up, it's because I think it caught up to the manga. And so if you look at the dates, you can kind of see how they were exactly at the same moment. So they had to conclude the York New arc through OVAs, and the OVA released in 2002. And after more of the manga came out, and then they put Greed Island in its own OVA. The Greed Island OVA is the only thing that I have not seen yet, and it's on my list. So I'm going to get to it eventually. I think it's I think it's actually still 40 episodes. I can't remember. It's a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
A lot longer than all my OVAs combined.
Yeah, exactly. But so the 1999 version does prolong the Hunter exam arc. There are more things that they added in there to make it longer, and it does feel a bit slower. It's because it takes forever to get out of the Hunter exam. and I only assume it's because they weren't sure how much they're going to be able to adapt, because they're probably catching up to the manga, and they're like, we need to spread this out. But there's some little extra scenes in there that I thought had some really nice foreshadowing that were not in the 2011. There is a early scene where you see Kurapika in a cafe, and a spider, like a normal spider, walks by, and his eyes turn red, and he throws a fork at it, and I was like, that's kind of cool foreshadowing for what's coming up and stuff like that.
Damn.
There were a lot more Leario scenes that they took out that kind of helped develop his whole backstory, which were taken out of the 2011. So I feel like Leario was they did a lot better building him up in the original. So I don't know. I feel like the 2011 also had so much exposition compared to 1999. They took a lot of that out. So, I don't know. It was really interesting to see the differences. And also starts in a different place, where it starts with a scene with Gon as a smaller boy child. I was kind of like a child, but he is a child. He's a little baby boy with Kite. And in the 2011, you don't even meet Kite till all the way up to the ant.
Later, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shit, they brought Kite in the very first episode. That was taken out. And there were a lot of extra scenes that build up Kurapika's development with his abilities. There were some fight scenes that were taken out. There was in the Hunter exam, he fights Hisoka, an actual fight. It wasn't just oh, Hisoka just gave up.
It wasn't just a spar, yeah.
Yeah, no, they actually fought, and I was like, whoa, they took that out, and Kurapika got some hits in. I was like, okay, it makes more sense when you see how he was already strong, and now where he is in the manga now, he's overpowered. I was like, now it makes more sense. I was like, how the shit does he gain that much strength like in such a short amount of time. It makes more sense. He was actually pretty strong before even learning that. But so that was interesting. And the biggest difference, there was also a scene or like extra scenes in there, extra hunter exams that they completely took out of 2011. And I definitely see how a lot of people consider them just filler, but also I think they give you a better understanding of what a hunter is, because there is a treasure hunt one in there. They're like, each exam was more about like the different types of hunters and making sure they could pass through all of them. And one was like a treasure hunt, and one was like they were stranded on an island and they have to escape it because it's going to sink in a few days. So they have to try to escape the island, but they have to use teamwork to work together to get this submarine going, or this battleship going. So that one was taken out of the 2011. And one of the biggest differences was Hisoka. He's so different in the original than what they did in 2011.
He's so much more dapper.
He is. It's really weird. There are parts where I was like, he seems even far creepier and more dangerous, but also there are scenes where I was like, they actually try to make him seem more human, because like he does have a normal wardrobe of clothes. He doesn't just always dress as a clown. So it was really weird to see the differences there. I really like in the Hunter exam, the 1999 version, they show more of Hisoka's murderous like impulses. Because if you remember in the 2011, the very first like few episodes where he is introduced, it's during that run where they're running through the swamp, and there's that scene where all of those other hunters that are there to screw people up, they gang up on Hisoka and they're like, no, you were kicked out for trying to murder people last time, so we're gonna get you kicked out. You can't be a hunter. And Hisoka's like, okay, I'll just kill you then.
How about I
just throw cards and send all of you to the Shadow Realm? But and it was weird in the 2011 version because it seems like he's defending himself, but when he turns on Kurapika and Leorio, they run away. But Leorio comes back and he's like, nah, I'm not the kind of guy that runs away. That doesn't make sense in the 2011. It makes more sense in the 1999 version where they didn't gang up on him. Hisoka hunted all those guys down and killed them just because he wanted to. So it makes more sense.
Hunter, he's the main character. Oh my goodness. We've done it. Peak mind blown.
We figured it out.
Listen, it sounds like Hunter x Hunter 1999 is just the 2011 version with the ant part removed, so it's superior. Am I right?
Wait, say that one more time?
It doesn't have the annoying Chimera ant arc, so it's better.
Yeah, true. It wasn't in there. I like there are a lot of moments in there. It's like, okay, Meleron has been holding his breath for 5 episodes. He's supposed to only hold his breath for 5 minutes. But there were a lot of scenes in the Chimera Antarctic that I did enjoy, though. But, yeah, and there was also an entire character that they removed in the 2011 about, there was this woman, or this girl in the Hunter exam who blamed Killua for killing her father, and that whole thing was taken out, which I thought was really surprising. There's a whole conflict there where she's trying to kill Killua, and I don't know. It's interesting. I do think that you should check it out if you really like Hunter x Hunter. It's just, it's
if you have that addiction.
I can't be the only one.
It can't be that. I don't know. I've thought about it. It's very similar to FMA versus FMA Brotherhood, where it's like I've seen the remake, I've seen 2011 of Hunter x Hunter, and it's like, do I want to go back and at least dabble with the original to see? And everyone's been like, the remake is convincingly better, so much so that I haven't felt compelled, but maybe one day I'll go back.
I actually thought it wasn't that bad to watch, but there was no Hisoka butt. That was a downfall.
Oh, well, count me out then.
Right?
I mean, it sounds like it is a good show regardless.
Yes.
It's just, have I been spoiled by the second one so much so that I can't... I mean, I feel like I would appreciate the original regardless, so maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But I got some other stuff I got to watch first.
Go for it.
I'll actually do quick because the first one will be super real quick. Back to Mamoru Oshii stuff. I watched the 2 Pet Labor movies. We watched the first 8 episode OVA for Anime Club a while back.
We had a review of it, remember?
Yeah. But I think then we do both. Then we do it for Anime Club and
Yes.
a review of the show. But I figured, you know what? I'll check out the movies, and the movies were good. They were just really well animated, long episodes of the show, and they were a fun time. I really enjoyed them. I did not watch the 3rd movie because Oshii did not do that, and it has way worse scores. But I would definitely recommend, if you liked the Pat Labor OVAs from the review, check these out as well. I liked them. The one I want to talk about, though, is the movie. I wasn't sure if you had watched it. Princess Arete or Arete Hime.
No,
So this is a Studio 4C movie. It's just shy of 2 hours long, and I really dug this, especially the first half. The first half was phenomenal.
Oh, we lost a Mason.
When my microphone flanks out. But no, so this is it's a classic fairy tale story, you know, princess up in the tower. She's like, "Oh, I want to be free and do stuff like that." But it definitely twists stuff a lot. It's considered one of the classic feminist tales of Japanese animation, and it was really solid. I really enjoyed the first half. The first half was almost perfect. Second half it was fine. It was still worth watching. It is, I would say, it's not for kids. It's definitely a kids movie, and perhaps its presentation and the plot of it, but the themes and the appreciation of it would only come from someone who's seen these themes played out, and how this is when people say, "Oh, it's a deconstruction of something." This is a deconstruction, and it was a very good time. And I enjoyed it. It looked real pretty. It came out in 2001, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, so wanted to get the name out there. Also, I'm getting feedback from Chibi Rob and that one guy probably in the chat that 5-star stories are a pretty good time, even if you don't like mecha. So,
awesome.
Validation already.
I saw that Chippy Rob said that he remembers the creator hating the OVA so much he demanded all copies of it destroyed. Was he referring to that or to Hunter x Hunter?
Yep. No, he was talking to 5-star stories. So far, the ones I recommend the most are the Phoenix OVAs and this Princess Arete story. But yeah, I've still got more to talk about, baby.
Yeah.
So,
you gave me that one. That's on my list. I'm definitely going to watch that soon because it's also a pretty fast one. It's a movie, correct?
Yep. Okay. Yep. It's an hour and 45 minutes.
Alrighty, so the other, I have 2 OVAs, very quick, that I can talk about, and I have 2 more series that I watched. I'll blow through the OVAs real quick, though. But I watched Genius Party, and I watched Otono Joshi no Anime Time. Both of these have been on my list for a while, and neither of them are available anywhere legally, unfortunately. They're both those very short, each episode is very short, but also Genius Party only has 7 episodes, and Otono Joshi no Anime Time only has 4. But Genius Party is a collection of 7 animated short films from Studio 4C, which is why Mason did our trivia question. Yep. But and each of the episodes have different length. The first one was only I think it was only 3 or 4 minutes. It was very, very fast. Yeah, and then some of the other ones are 15 minutes, and I think the longest one may have been the normal 23 minutes. But they're all pretty short. But the animation also varies greatly between them because they're all by different directors, and some of them are very well known, such as Yuasa does one, and Watanabe also does another one. Out of all of them, I think they're hit or miss. There are a few that I really liked, and there are some that I was it's all right.
Hit or miss is definitely the way to talk about this. Yes. Or Memories, or any of those compilation anthologies. But the overall aesthetic of just watching a bunch back to back and getting different moods is cool. Yeah,
it is really cool to just compare how different directors just handle things, and none of the stories are related. This isn't a series we're going to they're not all in the same universe or anything. So the Yuasa one was very weird. It was very
Yes.
Yuasa.
It was weird even by his. Is this?
Yes.
Was this a happy party? Did this even have like words in it, or is this just like the baby? crawling
It was just the
around?
baby.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was
He's
just
on a couple works like that.
yeah, it was just like a baby going through this world where like with a bunch of alien creatures in it. So I wouldn't say it's an easy watch for just casual anime fans, but if you're a big Yuasa fan, you should definitely check it out because there's some good animation in there. I think my favorite in the collection was the second one, which was the Shanghai Dragon. And that one was directed by Shoji Kawamori, and it was about like this boy who's like finds this device where everything that he draws comes to life, and he ends up in like the middle of a war. So that one was kind of funny to watch. But I think the hardest one was Limit Cycle, which was by Hideki Futamura. I think that's how you say his name. That one was just like a giant existential crisis. It was just like a man just rambling pretty much the entire time. But
It's been a while since I've seen this,
yeah.
but
Yeah, there are some good ones in there. That just be aware that it's hit or miss if you want to check it out. But the other one was Atona Joshi no Anime Time, which was 4 animated shorts that are all based on prize-winning short stories. And it also has a live-action drama. It was by Studio Bones. Again, it's not anywhere legally, unfortunately, so it took me some time to find it. But yeah, it was interesting. Definitely a lot better than Genius Party. There's some. I thought it looked fantastic. Very
it's
gorgeous.
way more consistent in its theme of telling stories about women in their late 20s, early 40s, like that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you keep on talking about it. I love this. Sure, I loved it so much.
There was one that I absolutely loved. There was one that I thought was pretty good. There was one that I was like, I really love parts of it. Then there was like a part was like, and then there's one that I hated. And
Can't win them all.
Yeah, they're the two that I hated. I think it's because they revolve around the idea, like they perpetuate the idea that the woman's job is to stay home and cook and not to have a job. And that was kind of like a theme throughout all of them. That was like, I kind of disgusted by this. But it was all right. I think there was one part in like the third episode that was so funny to me. It was like a big misunderstanding that could have been very creepy, but I think because of how the woman handled it, like she laughed at it, so I was able to laugh at the absurdity of it. If she was very upset by it, I'd be like, this is really fucked up. But yeah, it was interesting if you want to check it out. Did you want to talk more about it?
I mean, this is like Genius Party for me, where I saw it so long ago that I would need to like refresh myself on the stories. I just remember being really enthralled with it. It's just we normally don't get stories about females of that age in anime at all, so seeing that was just super refreshing, super nice. I thought it was well done, and I really dug it. And yes, one of the stories I believe was a little not as good as the others, but Po Buddy's Nerfect, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's the one that I was just the whole story was about this younger woman who I think she's the youngest of all of them, like her very late 20s, and she is just so dependent on this one man, and like her whole she feels like her whole duty is just to make him food. But I was like, I don't know about this. Like, she's so dependent on him, like she can't do anything else. That's all she does. Like, that's her only hobby is to make food for him. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one.
Not a good look, yeah.
Yeah, but the other ones were pretty good. Yeah, there's some, of course, little tidbits in there that was like,
No, I get you. Well,
yeah,
I enjoyed it. Next, Weird Departure. We got a 2008 movie. It's about 2 hours long. It's called Hells. This is one of the most visually interesting films I watched on the list. If you like Studio Trigger, if you just want to see Madhouse do Studio Trigger, watch this film. This is a story about a girl who spoiler, gets killed in like negative 1 minute into the movie. It happens before it really even begins, sort of. She arrives at this underworld school in hell filled with the dead.
Oh, that sounds
and
cool.
And it's got the president of the school, the principal, is Principal Elvis.
What?
It's a giant demon Elvis baby.
Elvis went to hell? That's not fair.
This literally is just a visual piece. Like the plot, it's fine, it's whatever. This is just zany animation. This is just, watch any trailer of it, watch anything, and you'll get the appeal of it. And it's just a question of, do you want to watch 2 hours of that or do you not? And it's super hammy, super over the top. I'm trying to think of like Dead Leaves sort of thing, where it's just bombastic beyond belief, and it's just a real fun movie. Not as, perhaps introspective as like a Mind Game or something, but if you take Dead Leaves, if you take Redline, if you take Kill la Kill, put them in a blender, squeeze out all the plot, whatever left beating in your hand, that's what Hells is. So check it out if that sounds appealing to you. I had a fun time with it, but it wouldn't be something I'm like would ever really want to go back and watch besides like the Sakuga from the film.
Awesome. I watched all of Princess Tutu.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it back in college, but I don't know if I ever finished it. Like when I started up, I was like, there are things that I remember and there are things that I definitely don't remember at all. And so I refreshed myself on it. It is all available on Amazon Prime, and it was an original by How Filmmaker. And yeah, it's I fucking loved it. And like it's a magical girl anime that is far different than what you would expect from a magical girl anime. I would say it's more aimed at adults, and but it takes a lot of inspiration from famous ballets and fairy tales, and it's presented as a ballet. And it's really cool how in the beginning it's presented as if you're reading a fairy tale book. There is a backstory about this prince who fought with a giant crow, and their fight leaked out of their book. And to seal the crow away, the prince had to break his heart into fragments and scatter them. And as long as his heart is separated, then the crow cannot be released from his prison. And then the show is about a young girl named Duck, who she's based on the Ugly Duckling. And she is in a ballet class and has a crush on the school's prince named Mytho. And this boy seems very distant and emotionless, leading you to believe he's the same as prince as the boy in the book. But yeah, and then Duck meets a mysterious man named Drosselmeyer, who's based on a character in the Nutcracker. And he gives Duck a pendant. When she has this pendant, she can turn into Princess Tutu, and she is trying to put together Mytho's heart, find all the different fragments and put them back together. But if she ever does anything resembling a duck, she'll transform into a duck until she touches water again. But as Princess Tutu puts his heart back together, she realizes she's conflicted about if she's doing the right thing, because all of his emotions just bring him intense pain. So like he just gets really super depressed very fast. And but what's fascinating about Princess Tutu is how it breaks a lot of the traditions of magical girl shows, but not just magical girl shows, but also shoujo. The main character doesn't have like a typical happy ending at all, and she isn't always the princess of the story too. And
No.
It doesn't fall into a lot of the tropes that you would expect from the genre, and especially when you look at the antagonist or rival of the series named Rue, and her development is fantastic. It's so good. I highly recommend watching it because it's just a unique watch. I like how all of the dance scenes are really cool, are really nice. I like how the story and the drama are presented as a ballet. And it's just, I don't know, it's just very unique for an anime. I haven't seen anything else like it. I would definitely recommend it to fans of Utena, for sure. I think there's a little bit of crossover there, and has some little darker themes in there. It's not really dark, but there are some little ones in there.
Dark emotions happen, not dark events. You know, in the same way you could say like, oh, you know, Madoka, it's dark because like bad things happen. It's not that, but it captures those same emotions of unease and despair and stuff that is kind of like in the background, but not necessarily through obviously, oh, this is a death event. It's I don't know. I really like Princess Tutu.
There are some little darker themes in there later on. It's like your typical dark fantasy tale.
If you ever want to learn Japanese and just can't remember the word for Once Upon a Time, watch Princess Tutu, because every single episode starts with like Mukashi, Mukashi, which is like Once Upon a Time. And now, because of that, I have that ingrained forever in my head. But besides that, it's a super interesting watch. It has like a good ending, like at the first 13 episodes. So at least watch till there. But then it has a whole second half, a whole second arc where things just spiral out of control, and it's I liked it.
Yeah, it's really good. If you look up on Mao, has it listed as 38. It's actually only 26 episodes. They're all available on Amazon Prime. I think original in the Japanese, some of the episodes had shorter episodes, so that's why it's listed as 38. But they're all available on Amazon Prime. I remember like going through like, am I missing something? But I had to look.
No, they just.
Yeah, I had to do some research in there. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's a really good watch.
Speaking of a completely different show, as wildly different as you could, but also sandwiched short 12-minute episodes together to make longer episodes. This show, I've never heard anyone talk about it because it's kind of weird or whatever. This is Thermi Romai, or Therm Rome. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, this has been on my list for a while.
This is a goofy show. So this is a gonzo, like very independent, barely animated flash animation of a show about Lucius Modestus, a architect of like public bathhouses in ancient Rome, who in each episode gets sucked through some sort of pipe or time frame or whatever to modern day Japan, where he experiences Japanese bath culture and proceeds to be amazed by what the Japanese have come up with and all these crazy inventions like towels and drinking cooled yogurt milk after the bath and all these weird things that you see in Japanese bathhouses. And he's just like, wow, this is amazing. And then he gets whipped back to ancient Rome, where he then tries his best to take what he learns from Japan, implement it, and becomes incredibly successful and popular. And it just goes back and forth. And it's just a story about these two places separated by time who love naked waterwork times. And they
who doesn't?
It's just a goofy show that somehow has a charm to it. It's not like a Sekko Boys thing, but it's very similar to the style of like, if you just want to waste a little bit of your life but get maybe a chuckle out of it, yeah, it's fine. It's different.
It's funny.
It's something unique.
That you mentioned Sekko Boys, because that's what drove me to it. I was like, I'm gonna put this on my list.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a dumb show, but it was just slightly informational enough that I was like, yeah, I get the charm. I can dig it. But definitely not a strong recommendation, just if you're really bored and want to if you try to imagine what the heck I'm talking about and you're like, I just can't picture it, go look it up. Watch one episode and you'll immediately know get the whole appeal of the show.
How many episodes was it?
It's 6 12-minute episodes, which are put together into 3 full-length 24-minute episodes.
Okay. Awesome.
It's a wild ride.
My last one is Kashurin Sins, which I mentioned when I was talking about Yoshihiko. But this one came back out in 2008, and it was by Madhouse, 24 episodes, and it's all available on Funimation. That's where I watched it. But this one was really interesting, but I definitely say it's not for everybody. The story is set in like a futuristic world where robots have rebelled against humans and humanity has been almost completely wiped out. And robots didn't realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't kill humans because guess what? Eventually our warranties are going to expire. But we're introduced to our main character, Kashurn, who is suffering from amnesia, and we learn that the robots in this like desolate land are inflicted with something called the Ruin, where they eventually just fall apart. And so they all blame Kashurn, though. He doesn't know why. I mean, he doesn't remember the events, but they're all saying that he is responsible for the Ruin. And there's a rumor that if a robot eats Kashurn, then they can live forever. They'll become immortal. And because Kashurn has this mysterious ability to regenerate. So he is one of the only robots who is currently immortal. And this is a very slow-paced show. That's why I would say it's not for everybody. But each episode in the beginning of the series introduces some very interesting and unique encounters with different robots and how they are handling the Ruin. You get like robot lovers, and you get a child named Ringo. You get like a painter, and there's like a robot who wants to hold one last concert to spread hope for those who are scared of the Ruin, and just all these different kind of characters. And you're traveling through this world with Kashurn, and as he's traveling, he learns a little bit more about himself and what he has done and how these robots deal with the concept of death. It's a really fascinating watch. It's also kind of unnerving to like watch Kashurn's like emotional journey bearing witness to death and not being able to prevent it, and seeing how crazy the hope for survival can make people, but like how they make them act. I say people, I meant robots. But there is a lot of heartache in this series, and it's interesting also how the robots can encapsulate all the different emotions that humans possess. I wouldn't recommend it if you can't handle pessimistic series. It's very sad, but
it's very sad and it's pretty slow.
Depressing. Yeah, it's a very slow series, but
it looks so good,
and it is very unique. I haven't seen anything else like it. It looks good, and Kashurn looks like he's the biggest tokusatsu fan ever. But yeah,
in every way that Bungo Stray Dogs looked good, Kashurn's looks great in a completely opposite spectrum.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but definitely check it out if you can handle like the slower series. Definitely.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
you said it.
That's all I got.
Okay, well, I'm gonna run through a couple short movies then.
Go for it.
And we'll see what people think. So first up is Fireworks. Should we see them from the side or the bottom? This is a 2017 thing by Studio Shaft. It's an 1.5 hour long movie, and it's all right. It's kind of whatever. It's not the worst thing ever. I recommend. There was it was kind of based off of a music video that was performed by Daoko, and who's the other popular guy? Kenshi Yonezu. He's the guy who did like the Sangatsu no Lion Ending 2, Orion, or he did the peace sign, the Boku no Hero Academia second opening. Essentially, him and Daoko, who's another great artist, they did a collaborative video. I can post it in the chat. Like, just watch that, because that has all the highlights of animation from the movie with a really cool song, which is like the big payoff of the movie. But the whole movie going up to it is kind of fine. It looks pretty. It has some Shaft head tilts. But besides that, it's not so phenomenal that I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
So
I've heard a lot of people say it's like one of the least liked Shaft anime from what I've seen. It's pretty low score.
The work it was based off was just kind of iffy. So just check out the music video, and that will be the highlights. So check that out. Next up, we have Hinata no Asoshigure, which is also known as Rain in the Sunshine, also known as Sunny Boy and Dewdrop Girl.
Sunny Boy. Aww.
Sunny Boy, which is an 18-minute original work. It is very cute. It is very adorable. But if you want the even more compressed, better version of it, done by the same person, which is Studio Colorido, which is a very new place, watch the 2-minute short called Fumiko's Confession. which has the same cuteness and adorableness, but just smashed into 2 minutes. And it's literally just a girl confesses to a boy she likes and then runs.
And blows up. Oh my gosh.
It's
we had yes in Anime Club we had this conversation when we were talking about Irasaku or Hanasaku Iroha, where we're like, how many times in anime somebody confesses and runs, and every time I find it weird. I'm like, imagine that
so
happening in real life. Somebody comes up to you, is like, I like you, and then runs. That trope always gets me. It's so weird.
Let me see if I can find it right now. Fumiko's Confession. See it on YouTube. Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna link this in Twitch right now. People, you can watch it while I'm talking about the next one. It's so adorable. Oh, okay, good. There. Look it. Find it, people. Watch it. It's a blast. And that is better than watching Rain in the Sunshine. But if you want a similar aesthetic after watching Fumiko's Confession, check it out. Next up, we have the Bunny Girl movie, the Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl. This came out last year, 2019. It's another hour-and-a-half long movie, and really what it is just 3 to 4 episodes of the show. It's just one arc presented as a movie instead of over a couple episodes. So, honestly, if you like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, watch this. It's just another solid arc. It looks a little bit better than the show, and it's a fun time. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the series, so this didn't sway my opinion either way. I just said, it's more of the same. It's a little too much. It's a Monogatari wannabe knockoff that just isn't quite my aesthetic. So it didn't sway my opinions, but if you like the show, don't sleep on this. Similar, I guess, to Steins Gate or Haruhi, where they just take the movie and make it bigger and bolder and better. So don't forget about that if you haven't checked it out yet. Finally, the shortest one on the list, I think, is a 10-minute OVA called The Girl from the Other Side.
I've read this manga.
I know you've read the manga. I've looked into the manga. This is like a taste of like what the manga is. It's very one-to-one. It's done by Studio Wit, and it is just adorable and sweet. It's just, 10 minutes, watch it. What do you have to lose? It's about a cute little girl from the inside who meets this demonic looking beast named Shiva, the outsider, and they just kind of coexist for a little bit. It's a 10-minute version of Somali from the season, just without all the extra stuff. And it has a very instantly recognizable art style, and it'll probably just sell you on the manga because I've heard great things about it. So
yeah, the manga for Girl from the Other Side is by the same mangaka as Ancient Magus Bride. So if you like that series, check it out. I like this one a lot because it has a really different art style from what we usually see.
The look of it is spectacular.
Yeah,
it is almost watercolory, but it has a sharpness to it and a disconnect between the two characters that is enjoyable.
Yeah, it's really cool because like the little girl is just she's drawn so cleanly, and then like the main character is like the monster is just like scribbles. He's like terrifying looking.
I might have misspoke. I might have called the demon Shiva. The girl's name is Shiva. The big guy's name is Sensei.
Yeah.
So quick correction before you guys yell at me. But yeah, so it was quaint. It was on my plan to watch for months. And I was like, oh, when's it going to get released? When's it going to get released? And then it finally popped out. So.
I always thought they were bringing out a full series for it, but I guess I was wrong.
They have to.
I thought they were going to.
It's too good not to. I think they will. This probably was just testing the water. So it was done by Production IG.
In what studio?
In Wit Studios. It's only 10 minutes long. Check it out. It is enjoyable. And yeah, the only last thing I had to talk about was I've been holding off on watching the new season of Haikyuu. I want to watch it all at once, but I did watch the 2-episode OVA that came out. The one about the Land versus Sky one, the Riku versus Ku, and it was so good.
Yeah.
It just was Haikyuu, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why it's good. This is why I care about it. It was just 2 games from 2 different schools, not even our main guys, and I was just like, it has the charm, it has the soundtrack, it has animation, it has our boys. And I'm hyped. So
Mini Hisoka's back.
I'm on board the Haikyuu train, and that was my pared down list. And I've got more that I want to talk about in the future. But I think we gave enough recommendations across all different genres, all different lengths. We got, hundreds of episodes recommendations. We've got tens of minutes of recommendations.
Yeah, if you listen to this whole main topic, couldn't find anything to watch, you're out of luck. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, and if there's anything that you're like, man, you guys should watch this. You should try this out. Let us know, because I've got a bunch of stuff that, for example, Golden Kamuy, I think we watched because remember in the Discord, Morrill was just like, hey, I really like the show. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. And we're like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. And there's a couple more I've got queued up that, I've talked about people who followed me on Mail and sent me a message saying, hey, I really enjoyed this show. And I'm like, let's give it a go. So if you have any suggestions, send them our way. We will watch them because we have no life.
Exactly, yeah. I watch anime faster than anyone else I know. So.
Exactly, that time turner technology, baby. We're in it.
Alrighty, so you ready to go into our trivia break?
I think so. We're going to leave you with another trivia question with another break. Hopefully you're still with us, and then we'll come back with a review. So before we do that, the trivia. A major part of Golden Kamuy is that it takes place in Hokkaido, the northernmost island of Japan. Which of the following anime did not take place in Hokkaido? When Marnie Was There, Silver Spoon, Non Biori, Erased, or Figure 17? Ponder it, and we will let you know soon enough.
Hey everybody, Mitsuki's back, and it's time for your coronavirus news break, as it seems like Japan has been completely just shell-shocked by the coronavirus. I'm not sure if it's due to massive outbreak or if it's just because they're trying to have precautions, but it looks like, starting off first, that would have been a pretty cool event, a train battle. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Another Story, as it's being called, event, has been canceled due to the coronavirus, which was going to be a real-world treasure hunt that would have had 280 players on a 1-hour mission on the Yamanote train station line, which is the very busy train line that loops through the middle of Tokyo in an endless circle. Participants who have taken on their mission through their smartphones would have received a present after the event, but it looks like they're canceling it. I'm guessing due to people traveling so much through the Yamanote line, which is a very busy train line. Next up, more cancellations. Japan's biggest cosplay event has been canceled due to the coronavirus, which is Osaka's Nipponbashi Street Festa, which they claim is the largest in Japan, even though the one in Ikebukuro seems to be getting pretty big. It's the 16th annual parade that would have run from the Den town area, which is basically Osaka's equivalent of the of Akihabara, full of anime goods and games, etc. This was going to be on the 15th, but they're canceling it. 200,000 people would have attended the outdoor event, as has been the case in prior years. They have announced what you can do online if you somehow are a person that's listening to this podcast who's also bought tickets and or wristbands for the event. You should be able to go online and take care of that pretty swiftly. Next up, more cancellations, or rather delays and shortages, as the Nintendo Switch is also in a shortage due to the coronavirus, or maybe it's just Nintendo throttling demand. But business news source Bloomberg has announced that this has pretty much happened, and a lot of this is because a lot of the components for the Switch are actually manufactured in China, which is being the most affected by the coronavirus. And of course, they're also assembling the Switches in Vietnam, which is also very concerned about this. So the projected delays in production this month have affected units that would have arrived in April, and this also goes for peripherals as well, such as Joy-Cons. So if you're a fan of the Switch, you're probably still going to be able to get one, but there may be some product shortages. And lastly, coronavirus yet again, and by the way, we couldn't even fit all of the coronavirus news into the news break because there's just endless amounts of it. Infinite Dendrogram is also, just like the Certain Scientific Railgun T, is having its 7th episode delayed. The staff stated that they are delayed due to the coronavirus and production schedule issues. and that the anime's production committee made the decision after discussion with the studio and staff. So, lots of coronavirus affecting all things that seems to have to do with anime in Japan. This is Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now, as always, time to get back to the podcast. Anime addicts, I want you to remember, JList and JBox.com are a leading source on the internet for all your anime video game, anime figure, and even Japanese snack shopping needs. JBox and JList are your friend in Japan and have a tremendous selection of pretty much any anime or Japan-related merchandise that you could possibly want. They've been supporting this podcast for a long, long time, and so you should go to JList or JBox.com right now, and you'll be able to find something awesome to fit your collection, satisfy some cravings, entertain yourself, have some fun. Just remember to use the non-adult mirror site jbox.com for all your anime shopping needs if the situation calls for it.
Hey, Steve Bloom here, voice of Spike Spiegel, Vincent Valentine, Leron from Gurren Lagann, Guillermo from Digimon, and a bunch of other crap. And I am a total anime addict, dude. Tune in, or else.
Welcome back. So before we went on break, we had a question for you. In a major part of Golden Kamuy, is that it takes place in Hokkaido, the innermost island of Japan. Which of these following anime did not take place in Hokkaido? The options were When Marnie Was Here, when Marnie Was There, Silver Spoon, Nanan Biori, Erased, or Figure 17. The answer was Nanan Biori. I screwed up that question so many times.
No worries.
Sorry about that. But, you know what isn't screwed up? Our 5-star reviews. Hopefully not. So let's go ahead and jump into our iTunes reviews.
It's time for iTunes review.
Take it away.
In my head, that sounded like, oh, that's about enough time. I was like playing the drop in my head. Ding, ding, ding. Anyway, this comes to us from Aura4201, and they write, "Hey guys, I'm newer listening to you guys, about 3 months. I started listening at my new job, and when I lost it, but I'm back up on my feet, and through the process of filling out applications, I've been listening to you guys constantly and can't get enough. Thank you for making my anime addiction worse."
Aww.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so sweet.
Glad we were able to help with all that. And yeah, you're a real winner. And you can be a winner like Aura and do so by going to iTunes and filling it out. And we would love you just as much because we appreciate all the good vibes.
Yeah, I really like getting feedback, even if it's if you think there's something that we could do better, please let us know, because otherwise we don't know what to fix.
It's the only way we improve, and we will take any criticism to heart. So please, we
don't be mean.
Appreciate it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Don't be mean. My fragile ego can't take much more.
Yeah, but thank you so much. And up next, we have our review for Kono Oto Tomare Seasons 1 and 2. It was originally passed for Season 1, and then before we could get to Season 1's review, Season 2 had already come out. So you're like, why don't we just delay this until we can just review the entire thing together?
Especially because I don't know if you had watched much of it at that point, but it was very clearly like these are meant to be watched as one collective piece. So it would have been odd, but we can get to that.
Yeah, exactly. Season 1 does end in a very weird place where it's like a cliffhanger. So I was like, yeah, it would have been awful just to review Season 1. So yeah, Kono Oto Tomare was originally passed by Enzo. I can't remember what season this came out in
spring of 2019.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And then, yeah, so Kono Oto Tomare is a music high school drama and is based on a manga by the same name. And we start off with one of our main characters, Kurata, who is trying to keep together a struggling koto club. And for those who don't know what a koto is, it's a Japanese stringed instrument that's pretty large, and it's 13 strings, and it lays like flat on the ground. And all of the previous members of this club are gone, and it's now in danger of closing. Surprise, surprise. We haven't seen that a billion times. But the school's known delinquent Chika shows up, and Kurata is initially taken aback, thinking, what is this troublemaker doing here? He couldn't possibly want anything to do with the koto.
With such a refined historic instrument such as the koto.
Yeah.
The most undelinquent of all instruments.
But it turns out that Chika is actually the grandchild of a koto maker, and he is here to learn how to play the koto. And we meet another girl who shows up to the club named Hozuki, and she is the daughter of a well-known koto master. And these three work together to rebuild this koto club, and they grab some other students who have never touched a koto in their life, and all of them together, they're trying to eventually get to a place where they can compete at a national level. And that pretty much carries us through season 1 and 2 with a lot of melodrama thrown in. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into our was it our impressions? Expectations. Thank you. I know how to do these.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't even around on this podcast, I think, when it was first passed. So I never had sampled it before, but I knew it was like, oh, it got some sort of positivity going from it. It seemed very much like an Enzo show with being about music and stuff, and he's a sucker for that. So I was like, it might have some sort of potential, but it, from the posters and stuff I saw, it didn't look great. I know Platinum Vision, the studio, has done not much, of which I haven't seen any of it, so I just never seen something that visually looked interesting, but I came in with a pretty blank slate of expectations and what I was hoping to get out of it.
Same. I didn't know what to expect going in, except just what I saw of the posters. And I did see some people online saying that the manga was really good. I saw some people comparing the manga to Chihaya Furu, which I thought was kind of weird. But so I was expecting maybe something like that in there. But yeah, I didn't really have any grand expectations. I did know the voice actor who does the opening song, Aoi Shota. So I was like, I don't know, I just like his voice, so I was excited for that.
Okay.
But that's all I knew about it going in. I was hoping for some really good koto music, because it's not an instrument that we get to see a lot in, even in anime. Like, with it being a very popular Japanese instrument, I don't know, it's just like the shamisen, we don't see it very often. But let's go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free recommendations. Jack, take it away.
Okay. I guess I will go first. Because I have no idea where you're going to fall on this.
I'm a wild card.
You are a wild card. I could see you being like, yes and no on this in equal parts, and I'm not sure why. So, unsurprisingly, I would not recommend this show. I thought it was very paint by numbers. It was coloring in the lines. It was by the book. It was very unexceptional in how it didn't take any risk. The entire show is just a print of a copy, of a scan, of a picture, of a fax, of a drawing. Like, this is to the formula, like music show, melodrama, stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't do anything poorly, and it doesn't innovate, and it doesn't excel so much at the fundamentals. It just exists, and it is fine, and it is adequate, but there's just, the show's about Koto. There's not enough Koto. I want more Koto. Give me Koto. I don't know. It just, it played in front of me, and I watched it, and I said, okay. And then it finished, and I said, there it is. And that's kind of how I felt about the whole show.
Yeah, I think I'm about the exact same. We have had a conversation in the past about like what makes a good music anime. I think it's been a mailbag a few times, mostly aimed at Enzo, but I've always said that I like it when music anime puts a heavy emphasis on their performances. And I went into Kono Oto Tomare excited to hear some really good koto music, and because it is a beautiful instrument that we rarely get to hear, but Kono Oto does have some good koto performances, but it takes a while to get to them.
I was about to say, that's the problem, is the koto music in the show is actually really solid and really good, and they're just, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I remember when season 1 started, a few episodes in, and I thought to myself, when are we ever going to see the koto? It takes like 5 or 6 episodes to get to it. Yeah. And I was like disappointed at that, because I was like, I would really like them to start playing, and the scene, like when they would start to like play, the scene would transition to after they're already done. I was like, what the heck? But when the show does show performances, I think they do a wonderful job of blending in with the characters' personal stories and showing how music can be healing. But there are a few characters got like no attention whatsoever, and I found that disappointing as well. But while the show may not have wowed me, I think it's an okay watch, especially if you like music anime and specifically the koto. It's like the only option that we really have, but there are some charming character moments, a few in there. It does have a nice I said nice. It has an awful lot of melodrama. Sorry. I was skipping down in my notes.
Yeah.
It has an awful lot of melodrama, and it can kind of drag its feet at times. The conflicts in the series, like Mason said, are not original. We've seen them time and time again. But despite that, I think it wasn't a hard watch for me. I watched it weekly as it was airing, and I was never like upset that I had to watch it. I was just like, okay, let's watch some Kono Oto. So I would say it's an okay watch. It's not like you need to go check this out right now. But if you really want to watch an anime music drama, you can check this one out.
If you've watched all the other music ones and you want more, this will scratch that itch, but it's not gonna cure it. And I think honestly we'll be able to review most of this with very little minor spoilers. So if you're still on the fence, you could probably keep on listening, I think.
Yeah.
Without too much of a risk. But so those are our initial thoughts. An enthusiastic meh.
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and drop our spoiler spoiler warning. And by the time this drop is over, if you do not want to be spoiled, please get out before the end of this drop, and then go watch it and come back and you can listen to our review. But I do think that we're not going to have too many gigantic spoilers in here, so you may want to stick around.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
And spoiler warning is up. So where would you like to start?
I want to start with the characters, but first, before that, I want to talk about the opening of the show, as in like the opening musical number.
Mm-hmm. Who is a voice actor? He's not like
Who is a voice actor? Listen, this is a music show. Like, you have a show that revolves around music, and starting with something that has like the taste and impression of styrofoam was like immediately off-putting. Like, I was like, hit me with the koto right off the bat. But like the music and just like the animation was just some of the most generic stuff I've ever witnessed. And I was like upset with how bland it was. Like any other anime, it would have been just a subpar opening. But for a music show, like you really do need to have that emphasis of effort put towards it. And it was kind of like a bad first impression.
Yeah, the voice actor who does the OP is Aoi Shota. I just really love his voice because it's much higher than any other like voice actors that we hear. And I was just like, I don't know, I just love his voice. So I do think he's a good singer, but it's not for this anime. It's very weird. But yeah.
And didn't the other voice actor, Chika, do the EDs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you had 2 people from the show, which, I mean, they were fine songs. They just, for this kind of show, it was whatever. But the thing I wanted to start with was the characters. Okay. And just because that's where I thought the show was the weakest. Yeah. These are very anime characters. When we talked about like the events we've seen before, even more so, these characters are just the most generic, played out, exactly as predicted. We knew exactly what was going on. And it worked. Like, the formula still works. Like, the degenerate with the heart of gold, the snooty person who learns to accept and find friendship in it. Like, you could see the lines, the numbers in the matrix of like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to play out. But overall, like, it stuck to the formula, and the formula didn't let us down. It was just disheartening to see it.
Yeah, like, that was the very first negative that I wrote down in my notes. I was like, these are so unoriginal, all these characters. I feel like all of these characters exist in almost every high school anime that I could think of. But yeah, I don't think that they're terrible characters, though. It's just that they're a bit dull because we could draw those comparisons to dozens of other similar characters throughout so many other drama series, whether it's sports or music or art. It's just... Yeah, we've seen them a dozen times.
The tsundere guy literally says, it's not like being told I've got a knack for this would make me happy or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we know that.
Oh no, we lost a Mason again.
Obviously, my mic is going to cut out again. I liked Hozuki a lot.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one of the characters, I am a big fan of the attitude. If you're going to do something, like, do it right. And that kind of aesthetic is something I try to hold in with my own life. So just having her try to, like, shape up these people, I was into. She was the granddaughter of, a legacy of Kodo players, and she was good. She was fine.
Chika grew on me a lot. I liked him over time. He started off as kind of like that. Like, he was delinquent, kind of, but then he grew up into, like, no, I really want to try hard at this Koto. I want to get better, and his drive for it was, I don't know. I liked him a lot. He grew on me over time. So I think it's the two main characters, Chika and Hozuki, do work well together, and I like them. I think it's really weird that they presented Kurata at the beginning as, like, a main character, and then he's pushed to the back. Like, there was, like, he got no attention after he was introduced. They're like, let's just forget about him and bring out Chika and Hozuki.
Yeah, I mean, because most of his schedule was just, I don't have a club, so now he got a club, so what else is he there for?
Yeah.
Not much. You really see how paper thin these characters are when, as soon as their issue gets resolved, they are filed neatly into the, they've settled in, and they've got no more room to grow pile.
The funny thing is, though, I really like some of the background characters. Like, sometimes the melodrama gets to be a bit too much. It's really silly sometimes. And I like that we had, like, Adachi, Sakai, and Koto, where there's just these three goofballs in the back. They just they gave it a little bit more of, like, a light to the series.
So these are the three, like, sub-degenerates that kind of follow Chika around. And they really don't have much of problems, but they have cute little things that get resolved, and I didn't mind them. My biggest problem was I did not like the voice acting of them. These were the most un-high school kids I've ever heard.
Really?
Like,
I thought they sounded all right.
Like, especially, like, Sakai's voice, the dumpy looking dude. His was like, I'm a high school I don't know. It was real rough.
You did so much better there.
I did so much better, even that. But the biggest thing is episode 8 really hit me how, like, bad the carousel of uninteresting characters were. Every person they brought in, whether it be Kurusu or the teacher or just the arrival, just everyone that was brought in, I was just like, oh my goodness, another person that I just can't stand, that is just here to make artificial conflict. And every new character, I was immediately just, like, tuned out to them. Not just because you immediately see, like you said earlier, you see how this is going to play out, you can predict everything, and it just makes their thing either frustrating or annoying and frustrating.
Yeah.
It was just...
Yeah, like, the melodrama gets really silly sometimes, where there are these moments that made me feel like this is not an issue. Why is this grown adult acting like a stereotypical teenage villain? like for example, the principal who, like, wants to shut down the club for no reason. And also the mother of, was it the mother or the grandmother of Akira in the second season, who wants to like make sure Hozuki never gets love from her mother. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like in the Koto school.
Yeah, and she like pulls that like act in front of the other grandmasters, and it's just like, ugh.
She's always kind of like shown
Really?
as like a ha ha ha, I'm plotting. I was like, this is really
Yeah.
silly. It doesn't fit with this series that feels like it should be like it's like it feels more realistic than a lot of other kind of silly over the top series. So it felt very out of place for me to have those characters.
And the problem is, some of the character moments I still really liked. There's a moment in episode 10 where the advisor is like prohibiting them from like going to a training camp.
The
or
best
something.
character.
And,
I love Suzuka. He was my favorite.
He was fine, but like he was like, whatever, I'm gonna be a crummy advisor. I'm not gonna let you guys do it. Sucks to suck. And like Kurata, the president of the club, like finally like mans up and is just like, you should quit then. You know, if you're not gonna be our advisor, just quit. Like we need to do this. And like boom, that was like really solid. And there was this whole we've talked about melodrama a lot, but there's a moment when they go to the training camp and you know, Kota is getting more and more isolated, and you see him getting frustrated. He's not learning the concepts, and he like the teacher's like, you should probably just run away and give up. And we see him run away, and we're like, oh, melodrama. And everyone's like, oh no, where did Kota go? And they all go running out, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so hammy. But it actually is just like, nah, I just went out to practice, and I didn't want to wake you guys up because you were sleeping. I'm like, that was good. Like, you understand that everything you've been doing up until now is really annoying. Maybe you should stop that. But so there is moments of like, yeah, these characters are charming and have some redeeming qualities, and I did like that. But it was so few and far between that I don't know.
Yeah, there's
and
a
like
scene with Suzuka. Sorry, I wanted to talk about him before he jumped off of that topic.
Yeah.
Suzuka in the second season, where Akira, who is a student at the school that Hozuki's mom teaches, and Hozuki has been kicked out of the school by her mom. Her mom has basically disowned her. And so she's no longer living with her mother, and her mother doesn't even show her any attention or love or whatsoever. But now she has taken on Akira, which is so silly, by the way. Like, who abandons their... Like, I know that weird shit happens in real life, but... Yeah, and you'd abandon your child just because they didn't play the koto that you wanted them to play? I don't know. It was very silly. But now Hozuki's mom has taken on Akira. And Akira's... I think it was her grandmother, because I think she was much older. I wanted to say mother, but I think it's her grandmother.
I believe it's grandmother.
Who sent Akira to Hozuki's new school, because she wanted to kind of just... to break up the koto club there, so Hozuki can't play the koto, which is... Again, silly. But I love that Suzuka, the teacher or the advisor, saw through that shit. And he's like, nah, yeah, you can come on in. Nothing's going to change. You ain't going to do shit here. You can come in here and you can teach. It's cool. He saw through it so fast.
Typical teacher with the big brain who knows everything that's going on. And as long as you can trust him, you'll be okay.
Yeah, it was really funny to me. I was like, hell yeah, Suzuka. But, yeah, the characters are the weak part, but the performances, I do want to talk a lot about first.
So yeah, that's where I was going to go next before moving too much into season 2 was, like you said, it takes up until episode 5 before we even get like our first koto playing going on. And I was just like, huzzah, we finally have reached the promised land. But up until like the end of season 1, when the performances start, this is not a story about musical discovery. We don't learn how kotos work. We don't really get how they operate. It's just what they happen to play while they go on an emotional journey. You know, it's you could see it either way, but I just wanted more playing. It didn't happen for a really, really, really long time. But then we finally got it in like the last couple episodes of the season, and it proves that, oh my goodness, kotos are really cool. Where was this the whole time?
Yeah, that's like one of the most disappointing things about it, is because when we did get the koto, it was really fantastic. I really enjoyed those scenes. I liked how they communicated how your emotions can completely change a piece. And you can be playing the exact same piece, but whether you're filled with anxiety or happiness, the sound completely changes and how that affects the audience, what they're hearing. And I thought it did a good job of showing how I did like how they showed like practicing. There's so much practicing in this anime and how that improves your performance, and we get a lot of scenes of them working together, and I feel like that is something that a lot of music shows lack. Like even Carol and Tuesday, it's like they tend to just magically come together.
They have the songs
Yeah.
prepared. It's not learning the songs, memorizing the song, rehearsing the timings, working on your part relative to other people's parts. Like there is the whole group dynamic that the show
Yes.
does a good job with.
Yeah,
And
it does.
other schools, we don't get their whole backstory for the most part, but we do get a little bit of flashbacks, and we get their performance, and we can see how, this school, our plaid pants school, those plaid pants look hideous, by the way, how the different styles of practicing has led to different performances and different concepts in their art, which I liked, even though most of the other schools didn't get much animation for their performances, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about later, but it was mainly just our main school did get a couple glorious minutes of sit down and listen to the piece. And I was expecting for them to do a whole lot of, while the piece is supposedly going on, flashbacks or other music going, but we actually did get a lot of, here's a piece of Koto music, enjoy.
Yeah.
And I was very glad to hear that. And to give one other praise, the best part by far of season 1 was episode 13, where our trio of 7 people, or not our trio of 7 people, what am I talking about? Our 7 people are at the side of the stage waiting for their turn to go. And, there's this somber music playing as they're like realizing like, oh, it's about to be go time. And it shows like each member holding this koto, like this tall, like monolithic structure bathed in like light and shadows, like right before performance. I'm like, this was a super cool shot. It definitely captured that like excitement and trepidation you have right before going on stage, and felt like you were right there with them. And that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, I did love it when we got the Koto music because it sounded really good. And I put a link in our show notes where they do have a video up on YouTube where you can watch the musicians perform this piece for the anime. Ryo Seigun, I think is the name of the piece. But yeah, you can sit there and just watch them as they're recording it for the anime. So that was really nice. I watched the whole thing. I was like, this is like, I got to hear the entire piece together instead of just like broken up into, like broken up by dialogue or anything. And it was really nice. I was like, kotos are a really cool instrument, and I wish
Kotos are sick.
I wish we got to see more of them. But I did like some of these scenes where it showed the drama of a person's backstory or how they're feeling, and like how the music was some of the flashbacks. Yeah. I did like a lot of those scenes. And I also really liked the scene where Hozuki's talking about the koto, and she's comparing it to a dragon. And I thought that was kind of cool because like she says like dragon is supposed to bridge like the gap between heaven and earth, and then the koto is meant to be like the connection of the hearts of the player and the audience through music. And I thought that was a really cool theme that they carried throughout the show, because later on we do get to see how the musician's emotions or emotional state is affecting the audience. Like Hozuki is playing with a lot of anxiety, and the audience is like, I feel a chill going through my spine. Yeah. Like, I could feel that. It's really interesting.
Chika also said, like, kotos are made to resemble a dragon. And the like, you're well informed. It's like, the dude has grown up around kotos his whole life. Like, I think he would have known, okay? Let's not give him too much credit. Let's see. I was trying to think if I had another comment to make before we move on to season 2.
Oh, I was talking about season 1 and 2.
I know, but I was trying to like mentally like get off the thing, because season 2, in my mind, gets better in some ways and worse in others. In the better way, when Akira comes and is like the technique teacher, I finally feel like I got a better impression of what makes the koto difficult. Because up until then, we would say, oh, the character plays the note, and they play the note, they pluck the string, they press the string, and it makes a sound. And I say, okay, that's probably how difficult it is to play the koto. But when she gets in there and it's like, oh no, you need to press with this amount of force, or you have to move the bridges to tune as you play, or use these reverse picking techniques, like it really makes you stop and think that it's more than just pressing a key or holding it. Like there's more intricacies to it, and it helped make me appreciate what the koto was and the difficulty associated with it.
Yeah, I think when Akira is introduced in season 2 and she comes in as a teacher, we also get a good look at where our characters are currently at with their skill level. Because before that, you're kind of like, I don't know, they sound all right to me. I don't know anything about the koto.
Yeah.
But then Akira's like, no, you guys suck.
Yeah.
And I really liked how they showed how difficult the timing is, because they struggle a lot with timing. So I like the heavy emphasis on like all of them working together to figure out their timing together. Like I don't think they had a metronome. They all had like a it wasn't like a koto, it was like a mini like board that they had to practice on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought those scenes were really cool and give you a deeper appreciation for this very difficult instrument.
Yeah, before I move on to the bad part of season 2, I did remember what I wanted to talk about. The recording you posted of the people recording the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to see the behind the scenes of when they have to record the pieces when things aren't going well.
Oh, yeah.
And they're asking all these like professional koto players, like, could you play it a little more crappy, please? Could you like just miss a couple notes in there? Just, you know.
Could you just slam your koto against a wall, please?
Exactly. I love those kind of stuff. Mm. Also, in episode 12 from season 1, as soon as they started unloading the kotos and talking about how heavy they were, like everyone knew that the incident was going to happen. I'm not going to spoil what it was, but the second that they had to like unload everything, I was just like, oh, something's going to happen. You know it. It's going to happen. And it did. And it's like, yep, I knew it. Mm. And there was moments where the characters are like, oh, what we're saying is really lame. Like self-referential, but that doesn't excuse the writing from being lame. But anyway, the worst part about season 2 was the unbelievably forced romance that just was so unnecessary and just got in the way of this good club activities. And
I've heard it develops a lot more in the manga. I don't know.
And even the characters were like, well, oh, I don't want to get in a romance because it will mess up the club, because it will. And I can see them trying to skirt it.
I don't know. They're high school, Mason.
It was so forced. Oh my goodness. Oh, what's with also Chika grabbing Hozuki like by the hair to like what he kiss it or smell or something? Oh, when she's like walking away, he like, because oftentimes you'll get the anime character who grabs the girl like on the forearm or the hand to like guide her away, but he like grabs her by the hair, and I can't imagine that going well in real life at all. Just,
oh no, it wouldn't.
Getting your head just snapped back. That seems like a big note, my dude.
I thought they were kind of cute. I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere because anime, but apparently it does develop a lot more in the manga from what I've read. But I don't know. I thought they were cute. I just wanted them to smooch.
But then you had like Kurata's whole romance thing going on, and that was...
I didn't think that was
unforgivable. She's
too
dead.
Bad.
She's dead to me. She's dead to me. You make one mistake, you're done. Get cut. We constantly had people from like traditional music magazines, like editors, coming to the koto competitions who are like, I don't really like the koto, but I'm just the token character who needs to prove that I'm impressed with the koto now to show you, the audience, that now this koto is impressive. And I thought that was, once again, just the basic audience stand-in. I don't know. It was more of the same. If you like season 1, I thought season 2 was probably a little bit better, but we get more big performances. They almost say the name of the show, Kono Oto, and I was waiting for the last part, but they didn't say it, so I was let down. I don't know. It was fine. I guess the biggest thing left is just that I wanted to talk about was the animation of the show, which was pretty bad, especially like the physicality, like how characters moved within a scene. That particularly was horrendous. Like moments where there's a fight or a scuffle and they get thrown down in the middle of the room, and then the next shot it's them against the wall, or characters jump between sitting in a chair and then on the floor out of nowhere, and it throws off the timing. Or at the end when she's like walking to find her mom and then like starts running faster and faster. Like that wasn't a smooth transition. It was just like had these really awkward cuts, and there was no interesting moments of like flourish in the show. Obviously, they barely animated the performances, but especially the flashbacks had just a lot of still frames, very little animation. I mean, it's not surprising. It is a new studio, and it didn't really disrupt the story they were trying to tell, but it was still distracting. The biggest thing that had going was just in moments they would like wash out everything and colorize it with a kind of watercolor thing to let you know, oh, this is a big scene. Now's the time to feel emotion. Here's the emotion image. But visually, it was kind of...
I don't know. Some of those scenes reminded me of Chihiro Furu.
Yeah. But there was... in between those scenes, there was very sparse anything of interest. It was just... besides those plaid pants, which did give me a migraine because they did look hideous.
It was obvious that it's like... I don't want to say low budget, but it was definitely obvious that this is a new studio. But I didn't think it was so bad that I couldn't watch it. It was like, I get it, they're trying.
Yeah, it got the job done. It was just so standard, and like all the directing shots were as basic as possible that there was no flavor to it.
I don't know. I thought it was all right. I mean, the animation wise, I thought it was okay for what it was. I wasn't expecting Sakuga in a high school drama, but I thought it was passable.
It got the job done. It told the story it was trying to tell. I don't know.
Do you have anything else you want to say before closing comments and score?
Not particularly.
Season 1 does end like right in the middle of a competition, so if they had left it off there and we had to review it there, I probably would have been far more negative about it because it was like a really weird place. But season 2 was only like a season apart, like 2 seasons apart, so
yeah, it was a split
it picked right
core.
back up. Yeah, and where we ended, it was they won this competition. That was like the end. So I was kind of sad that we didn't get to see more of all of these other characters from other schools that were introduced, but I see where they probably get a lot more in the mangas. So if you really like this and you're like, oh, I kind of wish I got more about this cool looking character that was introduced, maybe check out the manga because they probably get a lot more out of that.
And we might get more of your Shota, the guy who did
Shota?
Neo. Yeah, because he voices a character, but he doesn't show up until way later. So,
Alrighty,
I think we're ready to rate this thing.
you go first.
I will. I'm thinking. So the show is called Kono Oto Tomare, which essentially means stop this sound. And I thought that was fitting for the show most of the time. I didn't want to see any more. I didn't need to see any more. And it was pretty bland. I was very glad when the Koto, the titular main character Koto Man, finally appears and we get good music out of it. But I feel like I would have just been better served by going to YouTube and watching Koto performances more than seeing it in this medium. It was a barely passable show, and it did so little things of interest that I don't know if I could recommend it to someone who just wasn't looking for more music to get into their life. If they came out with a season 3 of this, I don't know if I would watch it. I might be compelled to, but only because I've put in 26 episodes and I'm moderately curious, but it would be with so little expectations that it would just be to, fulfill my own curiosity. I don't know. Some of the characters worked some of the time. Most of the characters didn't most of the time. And in a show like this, I feel like if you don't have strong characters, you don't have much else to go on. So I'm going to give it 2 tuned strings out of 5. It is a show. Go ahead.
I wasn't that harsh on it. I thought it was okay. I watched it every week while it was airing. And I did really grow to like Chika and Hozuki. But yeah, these are it was very obvious that these were very by the numbers characters. We've seen the same conflict a billion times, but I did like the scenes with the Koto. I wish that we got more of it, and I probably would have been far more positive on the series if we had more of Koto music throughout the entire thing. But yeah, I thought it was an okay watch. I wouldn't say it definitely wasn't the best thing that I've seen. It's definitely not the worst. But I don't know. I think I'm right in the middle. So I think I'm going to give it a 2.5. Which is like that's average. That's not like I'm not saying that it's a horrible anime.
No,
I think it's okay.
I will say go into it with the expectation of you're going into a 26 episode show.
Mm-hmm.
If you're planning, don't be like, oh, this is a 13 episode show. Give it a shot, see how it is. I mean, I think it will take a couple episodes to develop and get to the club aspects and the interactions of all the characters before it really shows its colors. So give it a couple episodes, but it requires the full 26 to get, I think, the story worth
for
telling.
sure.
So go in with that time investment in mind.
And when third season comes out, I will definitely check it out. Like I am curious. I did really like the Koto parts, and I feel like I actually thought season 2 got a lot better than as it went on, and I thought it was a lot better. I enjoyed that one a lot more than season 2. But yeah, check that one out if you really like music anime. I thought it was all right. But yeah, I was balancing between 2.5 and a 3. I ended up going with 2.5 just because I was like, there wasn't much of the characters that I enjoyed outside of some parts with Chika and the teacher. But I don't know. Do you want to go into mailbags or do you want to skip them? We are a bit over. We are at 2 hours, 30 minutes right now.
Let's flip a coin.
Oh, also before we get too far ahead, listener score. We there was balance between a 4 and a 2. A score of a 4 got 80%, and 20% of the votes got a 2. So the average for listener score was 3.5 overall. And I apologize that I put the poll up so late. I completely forgot we were back to reviews because I was so used to the impression season. So we only had one comment, and it was from Adrian, and they said that it was their favorite series over the past decade. So happy you enjoyed it.
Okay, we got a random number generator from 1 to 100.
Oh no.
If it's an odd number, we're going to do...
Let's just do mailbags.
Okay, mailbags it is. You heard the lady. We said we were going to go long. 2.5 hours isn't long enough.
And I apologize because I do not have the mailbag drop. I was just looking for it. I apologize. I don't have it.
Good. Mitsuki, insert drop here. Okay, and now we have mailbags.
So yeah, if you would like to leave us a mailbag, please go to our website at apodcast.com, and there's a mailbag button there, and you can click that and submit your questions.
The first question comes to us from Bill Nye, the Russian Spy. Hello, AAA podcast. Quick question. What is a good anime to watch while doing housework? That's a good question, because every anime is a good one to watch, because housework is the best thing ever. You should do it. It is so fulfilling, and it gets your life in order. As such, I picked shows that were equally emotionally healing and supportive and makes you feel good. So my suggestions were watch Flying Witch or Aria. Those are both nice shows where you can watch, see what's going on, turn away, do some stuff, look back, and it's not going to whip by you. Rolling Girls is another good show because the plot and whatever doesn't make sense anyway. So just look at it for the pretty pictures, and it is gorgeous for that. And finally, Baby Steps is another good show because that is just a tennis sports anime. So you won't miss much, but you can pretty quickly find your way back, and it's very long and is a good time.
I said if you're watching anime while doing housework, you probably want to watch something that has an English dub, unless you can understand Japanese, of course. But and also maybe something that isn't like doesn't require 100% of your attention, like Mason said. So I said maybe something like Barakamon or like maybe Sakura Quest, because those are like working anime. Well, Sakura Quest is a working anime. Sounds like work is a working anime. And that doesn't require all of your attention. But also like Sakamoto Desu would be really funny while working. I think there are like, some scenes in there where he was
Sakamoto
cleaning.
Desu, you would be watching the show, you would turn
You get
around,
hyped.
you would come back, and the dude would be completely in his underwear fighting a bee, and you're like, did I miss something? And the answer is no, you didn't.
That's why it's so good. Our next mailbag is from Yotoru Vegeta, and they say, rock on AAA hosts. If you were going to start a band and name it after an anime, what name would you choose? I was thinking of anime titles only, but I won't restrict you. So what do you
I think you should go first, because your answer is better than mine.
I said, all right, guys, let's play a game. Metal band or anime? Tokyo Ghoul. We have like Tokyo Ghoul. We have Monster. We have I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. We have Corpse Party. We have Pet Shop of Horrors. We have Death Note. Black Butler. Berserk. Death Parade, Death March, Angels of Death. That's a good one, by the way.
That's a Slayer song.
Oh, is it Angels of Death? Is it a Slayer song?
Yeah.
I don't remember. And we also have Black Bullet. But my favorite by far is just Boogie Pop. That'd be a good band name.
That's not a bad one. It's actually Angel of Death. Sorry, but it's close enough.
The S, you know.
I thought Death Parade was a good one. Obviously, Beck/Given/Seku Boys are all great band names because they're great bands. Kaiba, that'd be a cool band name. Dead Leaves, that'd be a cool one. And we talked about it earlier this episode. No one would get it, but I think Bungo Stray Dogs would be like, ooh, that sounds interesting.
Funky. I bet that's jazzy.
Yeah. Bungo? What's that mean? Straight what?
Bingo,
Either
you
way.
mean Bongo Stray Dogs.
Bingo Bongo, Death Game Time. Classic. And finally, last mailbag comes from Carpet Shaver. I really like the I'm just gonna keep on tanking. I really like the AA crew and our hosts that are hosting the podcast as it is right now. Do you think Kazuo would feel bad if I mentioned that he looks like a very distant memory at the moment? By the way, you all rock. Well, clearly we are very far behind on our mailbags because Kazuo had that special appearance back on 500. So yeah, it's been almost 9 months since Kazuo has
Passed
been on,
away.
so.
I'm just kidding. He's not.
Rip Kazuo.
No, he's still alive and on Twitter, so you should go say hi.
He's living the dream. He's lost a ton of weight. He's looking real good. Being our dream boy. He's a good unit. So
Yeah. I was just laughing at your name. I apologize. It broke me. I read that name. I just started laughing. Anyways, that's all we have for today. Sorry for the longer show. But yes, if you would like to join us again, go to apodcast.com/join to join up and get all of our bonus content. Please go to iTunes and subscribe to us and leave us comments and reviews so we know how to improve. And again, join us on all of our social media platforms. We have Twitter, Twitch, and everything else in between. And that's all I got.
Guys, give props to Mandi for running the entire operation today. All the editing, all the drops, all the visuals, all the research. Everything was on her shoulders and starting right on 5, right on time. What a dream. So big props to you for taking care of that.
Thank you. Mitch should be back next week, so things should be a little bit smoother next time. But thank you so much, guys, and we'll see y'all next week.
Have a good one. Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.